Of a Judeo-Christian worldview.
Okay.
And now, here is your host, Brannon Howse.
And welcome to the broadcast on this Tuesday night. Can you believe it? August 4th, 2026. Glad you're here. We have an exclusive interview I got with Sarah White. She's over there in Ceuta, where they are invading. And I want to ask her about who's really behind this. Is this another World Economic Forum, United Nations, globalist agenda to flood the country there of Spain? Sounds like what happened here in America under the Biden years. I've never interviewed her until today. I pre-recorded an interview with Sarah because of the time change. And what an interview. What an interview. And you're going to see me get to know her as the interview unwinds because I didn't know her until the interview started. But I'm going to have her back. She's gutsy and it's very, very informative. So we're going to go to that pre-recorded interview here in just one momento. We also did an interview, and I pre-recorded that one as well, with Michael Weiner today on what's going on with the economy. But particularly, I play some clips from him from several years ago, where 60 Minutes did a piece on 401ks and all of these people that had lost $40, $50, $60, $80,000, $100,000, people that were planning to retire and were going out, and no retirement now. And then they're going back to work at a funeral home, greeting people as a greeter at a funeral home, and then working at Starbucks with kids that could be his grandchildren. Now, I want to give you a warning again tonight about what's happening in this country and world of ours, and to protect people. I don't give financial advice. I give financial opinion. You should do your homework. You should get educated. You really should learn from other people's mistakes, other people's failures, or just they're being taken advantage of, maybe not being fully informed. Certainly, I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, but you should learn from what happened to some of these people back in 2008. 60 Minutes did a piece on this several years ago. I want to play a little of that. And then I want to talk about Japan and what's going on in Japan and several other things with Michael Weiner tonight. And then in studio, Courtenay Turner. Courtenay Turner. I want to talk about MAGA being infiltrated, churches being infiltrated, the GOP being infiltrated, the Democrat Party of America being infiltrated. Oh, my. Even people like James Carville and so many others are like, I'm going to have to leave this party if they're going to let the communists, just a flat-out Marxist communist, take over. Why is there so much infiltration going on the right and the left? Is that so that people become disillusioned? Is that so that people become demoralized and walk away from the whole system? Is that so that some of them become radicalized, either on the far right or on the far left? Is it so that they are co-opted? Either way, who's behind this? Is it globalist? Is it technocrats? Are they pushing for technocracy to say Biden failed? Trump, he's not doing the greatest for the economy. We read today that diesel prices are back up there where they were under Biden. That impacts your food at your dinner table, many other things. Are they trying to say, you had Biden and you had Trump and none of it's working? What do we need to do? Maybe go to technocracy. Let the machines run the world. After all, they're so much smarter than human beings. Is that where we're going? Is it to push us toward technocracy of a technate of America, Canada, and Mexico? And then what about guys like Jack Posobiec? Why are guys like Jack Posobiec being interviewed at Turning Point USA when we'll play the video again tonight? He's saying, I'm not a capitalist. I'm not a capitalist. What else has he said? I got some very interesting clips from this character, Jack Posobiec. Are we seeing an influence of the Jesuits? Are we seeing an influence from people that are from the intelligence arena, have been a part of the intelligence arena? Is there an agenda here? If so, what is it? I mean, in many cases, we don't have answers. We can only provide you with theories, our opinions, educated guesses. Something's afoot in America. These are not the normal days, as we all know. And it seems as though the right and the left are being infiltrated. This is not your father's Democrat Party. This is not your father or grandfather's Republican Party. Times they are a-changing, but the change, the conflict Change comes through the conflict. Isn't that what Saul Alinsky taught? What is it we're headed toward? We'll get into some of that tonight. So buckle up. Oh, we have big news tonight. Big news tonight. Finally, it's taken us over a year and a lot of money to transcribe every radio show, every TV show, every documentary, every book, every article, and turn it into the most powerful, I think, the world's premier biblical worldview Bible and Bible prophecy software. It's called Worldviewpedia. If you go to Worldview Tube tonight, maybe pull that lower third down for 1 minute, go to Worldview Tube tonight, and in the far right-hand corner, look at that. What's it say? Worldviewpedia Research Assistant. Click it, and you can try it. It's being debuted tonight. You have a drum roll or anything in there, Logan? What is Mormonism? You ready for a cheer at least, Logan? I mean, you have any applause from a crowd? I thought you had all kinds of funny sounds in there. There we go. Finally, some appreciation. I get no respect. All right, here we go. What is Mormonism? Hit return, boom, or hit send. Send, come on. There we go. Now it's working. It's combing through 36 years of radio shows, TV shows, ebooks, articles, commentaries. Mormonism is a religion founded on a belief that God was once a man of flesh and bone who lived a good life and evolved to become a god of this planet. According to Mormon theology, God resides near a star called Kalab with goddess wives and sends spirit babies to earth. Mormons are polytheists who believe that all male Mormons can eventually become gods themselves. Mormonism also teaches that Jesus is the spirit brother of Satan and was conceived through a physical relations between God the Father and Mary. Folks, this is all documented, so don't let the Mormons tell you this is not true. It's in their own books, people. We have it. It does not base salvation solely on the cross and blood of Jesus, which is why you'll never see a cross on a Mormon church. At its core, Mormonism is a religion of works, not grace. Salvation, described as elevation to godhood, is taught to come through membership and baptism in the Mormon church, obedience to its laws and ordinances, temple works and good works. This stands in contrast to biblical Christianity, which teaches salvation by faith through Christ alone. Amen. Now, it doesn't mean there aren't some wonderful Mormon people. I have some friends that are Mormons. But if we love people, we should tell the truth. We should evangelize people. But there are many people running around saying, oh, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. What Jesus? Are we talking the Jesus of the Bible or the Jesus of Mormonism? The Jesus of Mormonism whose kid brother was Lucifer? Come on. So here is a quick way to get an answer. Now you say, well, I want more on that. I'm glad you asked. Show citations and look what you get. You get a whole series. You can go to it and learn about it. Mormonism, polytheism. Look at that. That's a video. Worldview Tube. Let's see where that goes. Worldview Tube. An article by my friend Jason Carlson, who I was just texting with the other day. His dad was Ron Carlson, an expert on Mormonism, and spoke for us on that topic many times. Here we go. Here's another one. What's this? Well, it's the same article. It's citing him again. All right. So anyway, there you go. And there ought to be in there, Logan. Maybe, Logan, we could add it. I thought for sure Ron Carlson did a whole show for us on Mormonism. I thought we had one with Ron. We got to see if we can get that into there, into the citation. But that was just one question. All right, let's ask another question real quick. This is a brand new, just launched. It's available to you. I've been demoing it to you, but you weren't able to use it. Now you are at worldviewtube.com, bottom right-hand corner. Let's see. What is transhumanism? Are you ready? What's transhumanism? Now it's searching. It's going through our 36-year library. Let's see. Transhumanism is a philosophical movement that advocates for using science and technology to improve human condition and guide human evolution. It aims to enhance both physical and cognitive human abilities through technologies that can improve longevity, cognition, and well-being. Transhumanism emerged in the 20th century and has its roots, scroll down, has its roots In the Enlightenment's emphasis on empirical science and critical reasoning. At its core, transhumanism seeks to take hold of the evolutionary process and shape the human species through the direct application of science and technology. Some envisioned post-human or neo-human traits, including highly advanced intellectual capabilities, physical bodies immune to disease and aging, the ability to communicate complex thoughts instantaneously, expanded sensory inputs, superhuman strength and agility, perfect control of mental states, and increased capacity to experience both positive emotions. Transhumanism also makes broader promises, such as humans will soon acquire heightened capacities through pills, genetic engineering, or medicine, science or medical science, and that adherents may eventually achieve indefinite life extension. A key concept in transhumanism is the singularity, an anticipated point in history when scientific advances become unstoppable, enabling humans to fundamentally recreate themselves. And you say, what are the citations on that? There you go. And then you can start finding these programs and listening to them and learning from them. So again, this is just 2 questions we've asked. Now, this is all going off of our 36-year library, isolated and quarantined, so you don't have to worry about any leftist ideology creeping in. This is only coming from our 36 years of radio shows, TV shows, ebooks, audiobooks, national conferences, and more. Okay? So check it out. Available tonight. It's available tonight at worldviewtube.com, bottom right-hand corner, okay? And now, before we get going, I want to show you real quick, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Worldviewtube, no, not that. Worldviewtube.com/vault. That's what I wanted. Worldviewtube.com/vault, because that's going to show you now. Now we have a new membership levels because of adding Worldviewpedia, which cost us a lot of money to run. Every time someone asks that a question, it cost us money. So you're only going to be able to ask so many questions, and then you're going to need to join the vault. So you get it at a basic rate. You can get the premium vault monthly, $19.99 a month. Premium Vault, $19.99 a month, which gets you a lot of usage of Worldviewpedia. It also, coming in September, as we start launching 22 new channels. Do we have those, Logan, or do I need to bring them up? You can grab them. You got my graphic? 22 new channels that we're launching that will be for premium members only. Because what we're doing is we're taking a lot of our content from our vault and we're going to stream it to different channels that are on Islam. I'm thinking about adding one on exposing communism. I'm thinking about adding a 23rd channel, exposing communism. I mean, it's 36 years of content. We have no problem. Logan doesn't know this because I've not mentioned this to him, but we got to get back to filming more house-to-house programs. And I think I may have found a faster way to film more house-to-house programs, which I'll share with you later tonight, Logan. But anyway, look at all these great 22 channels, and there's going to be more coming because I'm already thinking about adding a 23rd, which is a channel that just does nothing but refutes communism and socialism. But these will be 22 channels available for premium vault members. Look at that. We're even starting one on technocracy. We got plenty of programming on technocracy, just to program a 24/7 channel. We've got plenty of programming on Islam. Expose that. We got plenty of programming on Bible prophecy. We got plenty of programming to do fast facts on false teachers and show you all kinds of programming that's from our archive, as well as new programming. So make it very easy to watch these channels with various topics. That'll be available to premium members only, plus expanded greater use of Worldviewpedia if you're a Vault member at $19.99. $19.99. Okay. We're also going to be doing some specials, Logan. We're going to be doing some specials soon for Vault members, that the premium, where I'm going to start doing some live programming for premium members only. Live, where I don't know what time of day we'll do it, but where we can get in there and do programming and take their calls and blah, blah, blah. But it'll be for premium members only. You like that idea? Are everybody hearing you? Is everybody hearing that?
Now they are.
Now they are.
What we really should do is do live Zoom calls where the Vault members can join and come on with you.
I like that idea. So anyway, we're going to be doing a lot of things but already there's a lot there. As we announced tonight, brand new premium vault membership that's going to be quite amazing, which includes a lot of usage of Worldviewpedia. So please go and join, because this is a big, big, big way to educate yourself, equip yourself, answer questions of other people, be a better thinking individual, and also a great way to help us so we can continue to push out this kind of programming for you. Again, it cost us about $100,000 over a year to develop this Worldviewpedia. Very complex to do, very complex to do. Talk to a guy, as I've told you before, who's an VP of IT for one of the largest corporations in the world. He said, Brandon, I've watched guys throw $500,000 at this, and it doesn't work in the end. Well, praise the Lord, we only had to spend $100,000. 25 to 30,000 of that was transcription and transcoding. And at the end of over 12 months, thank the Lord, it works. I've been on pins and needles the last 12 months, but I was willing to take the chance on this after, our IT guys, he's proven himself. He kept telling me, I would ask him, is this going to work? Is it going to work? Yeah, it's going to work. Why are you asking me that? Of course it's going to work. I'm like, because I've been told that a lot of people do this and it doesn't work. No, it's going to work. Well, you just saw it. So praise the Lord. Worldviewtube.com/vault. Become a premium member now. And then don't forget about going to worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Worldviewtube.com/sponsors. All right? All right. I want to get underway right away with my next interview. I pre-recorded today with Sarah White, who was just, we're going to play a lot of video of her at Ceuta in Spain. Watch this. Joining me now is Sarah White. She is over in Ceuta. This is this country we've been watching. It is being flooded with illegal immigrants. I wonder what percentage of them are Muslims. Let's talk to her. She joins us. Sarah, thanks for making time for us today.
No problem at all. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Will you tell our audience a little bit about yourself? We'll also promote your Twitter feed, because you're putting out a lot of videos. So I want to put that up there. But tell our audience about you, please.
Right. So I'm a single mother of 3 older children, and I go around protesting predominantly in the United Kingdom, and that takes me around Essex, London, Manchester, Northern Ireland, and I stand up for the safety and protection of just people that deserve to be in our country. And I stand up against these undocumented, sexually charged fighting age men that our government seems to be welcoming in so freely. And they're welcomed in along with these woke liberal white females predominantly, and they're the ones that are feminizing our men at the same time. But they're a massive problem to the United Kingdom and the West. So
you're basically the female version of Tommy Robbins. Tommy Robbins said.
Tommy Robbins said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could say that. Obviously, Tommy's been doing this a lot longer than me, and he's got a massive platform. But yeah, both of us fight for the same thing. And I took myself off to Ceuta, and I decided to show the truth. I'm fed up with mainstream media continuously pushing one narrative. And immediately as I got there, you could see that as we was driving along, there was thousands of these men. They stood out like a sore thumb. They was in groups, large groups. A lot of them was dripping wet because where they'd swum in the sea. They had no shoes on. They was dirty, and they just don't look as evolved and developed and civilized as far as I'm concerned. And
I love your bluntness. I love it. So tell our audience, where are you right now? Have you made it back home?
I've made it back home. I come back. I've not been back long because the situation is still carrying on there. However, there is a lot more army presence now. The shame of it is I spoke to army personnel's senior members, and they said it's heartbreaking for us because we've been told that we're not allowed to use brute force. When this happened in 2021, they was allowed to use brute force, and it stopped within a day. And this has now been going on for a long time. This was all orchestrated. the King of Morocco had Throne Day, where he released some of the worst people from prison. These was terrorists, murderers, rapists, and basically they was the ones that all headed through the border. There was around 60,000, potentially more, that come across. And there was two types of people that come across. There were those that just joined on because they didn't really understand what they was doing. They thought they would just go for a couple of days, you know, have a couple of pictures, cause destruction and carnage. You can see the state of the beach. The sea was full up with rubbish. And it was terrible for the locals, to be honest with you. And then you had the second lot of people that are incredibly determined. They've got one thought process, and that is to get into Europe. And geographically, Ceuta is Africa. And this is where the misconception with a lot of people, they're saying, oh, you know, it's in Spain. Yes, it's Spanish sovereignty. However, it's on the tip of Africa. And they were shown social media videos for days, even weeks leading up to the attack and the illegal invasion from on mainstream media platforms saying that the border would be open from 9 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock that night. And they said that they wanted people en masse to break into Ceuta. And it was devastating. And as you can see there, mainstream media portrayed this as they are poor, innocent people fleeing a war-torn country. Morocco isn't war-torn. I think it's 67th on the list. It's not a third world country, although that you look at the people and think they are third worlders because they don't know how, you know, basic
basic hygiene.
Yeah, basic hygiene, you know, and I'm fortunate enough that I could talk to a lot of these men. Now,
wait a minute. Let me stop right there. How could you talk to them? What language do they speak?
There was not many of them spoke English. However, there was the odd few, and I believe that they thought that I was going to somehow promote them into Europe, and I believe that they thought that I would be able to speak on their behalf, and because the mainstream media was all wanting to paint them as these poor little innocent people. However, where are all the women? And they leave their women behind. They don't have the same respect as we do in the West for our culture, our traditions, our history, anything like that. And they have one thought process, and that is to get into Europe and even to America. Like, you know, America is seeing this as well. It's an attack on the Western world, and it's extremely worrying. But I felt that I needed to be there because mainstream media continuously push one narrative, one agenda. They don't tell the truth. They constantly paint these people as that they're civilized. I mean, look at that. How many women are in that group? And there was thousands of these men.
How many of them are Muslims? What percentage are Muslims?
I would say probably all of them.
Wow, that's what I thought.
They were saying, whenever they did speak to me, they all said, Allahu Akbar. Like, so I think that paints a pretty good picture. And they believe that if they stay there for 7 days, that then they will be given passage into mainland Spain, which then allows them to travel the whole of Europe. And
by the way, how far are they swimming? How far is it from Morocco to Ceuta?
To be honest with you, you can walk across the border. It's a matter of 100 meters, the border. There's just a hard border on Ceuta's side and the Moroccan side. And it just was that the border didn't go far enough out into the sea. So they're not really swimming. So
they're just swimming around it. They're just swimming around it.
Yeah. And usually there would be, you know, army personnel there. This was all pre-planned.
Now, let's stop right there. Pre-planned, because they want to blame it, act like their country's, you know, is the victim. But did they not invite this? Did Spain not invite this?
Definitely. Spain 100% invited this. Obviously, not every resident within Spain, because the people of Spain are furious. But this is their politicians. They're just as corrupt as the ones that we've got in the United Kingdom. They're openly welcoming in these invaders, and they are sexually charged fighting age men. And yeah, okay, I was able to interview them, but let's face it, there was plenty of army there and plenty of police. And if one of them had attacked me, they would have then probably opened fire on them. So they're not going to risk that. So I used the opportunity to actually interview some of these, the ones who could speak English. And then I took myself up with a couple of people who I knew that I traveled with, and we went up to into the cemetery. And the cemetery is on the hillside. It's in the mountains, and the cemetery meanders through the hillside. Now, when we got into there was hundreds and hundreds of these men. And the reason why they use the cemetery is because obviously you've got taps there with water, continuous flow of water. So they was able to fill up their bottles. There's shade there for them. So they're hiding out in the cemetery. But what the left or the woke liberal people don't want to promote is that these people are in these cemeteries of people's loved ones, and they are jumping on the graves. They are there is human feces everywhere now, because that's what they're doing. They've got no toilets to go to. And then we walked through there, and it was quite worrying, really, to see the amount of people that are there. But isn't it ironic that in the main town, where it's a very affluential area, there was no invaders? Because what the mainstream media, local authorities, government officials made sure that there was army personnel at every entrance into the main square to make sure that these men couldn't be seen on the mainstream media news channels.
But I did see on the mainstream media some of them breaking into apartments or buildings.
Yeah, so that was shown, I think, on the first couple of nights, depending on what mainstream media channel it was. However, most of our mainstream media channels are corrupt, as far as I'm
I don't know
concerned.
that I saw it on the mainstream. I saw it on social media. Here is one of your interviews. We've got a couple. I think this is you. This is her, right, guys? Okay, I think this is her. Correct us if it's not, but I think it's you. Here we go.
Yeah.
Are you part of the protection?
Yes.
Are you protecting your village?
Yes.
Of the is this where the migrants were breaking in? Here?
Yes.
Were they climbing in?
Yes. With hosts.
And so are you guys all protecting your village? And why are the police not doing it?
I don't know, but I think the government.
Yes.
He said can pegar the people there.
But the government can protect the rich areas, but they're not protecting here.
No, the center, but this.
But why do they protect the center and not you?
I don't know.
But you're Spanish.
Yes.
That you live here.
Yes.
Why are they not protecting you?
I don't know.
But that's the question you should be asking. Why are you protecting the fancy, the rich, and not people here? You deserve. You shouldn't need this.
You should.
You shouldn't.
The police should protect.
Yeah.
The army.
The police should be doing this.
The army.
Yeah. The army should be doing this. But well done anyway. Well done. You stay safe.
Man, I feel sorry for that young man.
Yeah, so that was a local, and there was so many of the locals, and they had taken it into their own hands to protect their local community, because unfortunately the rich areas were the areas that were being protected, but the local working class, ordinary people were just left to fend for themselves. And they was seeing the people off. I mean, he was really young, that guy.
Yep. Let me go to another one of you. And by the way, folks, this should be a lesson to you. I've tried to tell you this, my audience, for years and years and years. When this crisis hits in the U.S., your local, state, and federal government will not be there for you either, okay? Many of them have already been taken over by the Muslims. The police chiefs are Muslims. The city council are all into the whole cultural Marxism, kumbaya, let's get along, sing the Barney song with the Muslims. Of course, those are the people that end up getting murdered, like the poor lady that was trying to help the Afghans, and they ended up, one of them killing her and stuffing her in a suitcase. We've reported on that this week. Of course, we know the poor folks on October 7th in Israel. Many of them in those kibbutz were providing jobs to those Palestinian Muslims who then came over and murdered them and did what they did. Isn't it interesting, these people that think that you can find common ground are the ones that end up being the victims eventually. And so I'm telling you, when it comes to America, unless you have a really good police department that stands on principle, the Constitution, the rule of law, if you don't have that and you have people that have gotten into power at the local level, the city council, the county commission, kiss your fire department, your police department, your sheriffs goodbye. They will carry out that political correctness, and they will not help you. In fact, they will probably serve you up. If you live in too rich of a neighborhood, they will serve you up, because as the bourgeoisie, you're going to get what you deserve from the proletariat. And if the proletariat Marxists on the street, those are the useful idiots in the cannon fodder. If they have to be used to take out the bourgeoisie, they'll use those street fighters. But up above will be the Marxists, the Islamists that have gotten into power that now oversee the police department. So you need to be watching all this, folks, in America, and realizing when it happens, if they are able to help you, they will be unable to do it. There's only so many to go around. Many of them will not be there to help you. They will serve you up because they have infiltrated at the local, state, and federal level. We have people in our community that are playing patty cake with the Islamists and helping them build gas stations left and right, okay? And this is in the Bible Belt of Tennessee. So trust me, some of you living in Wisconsin, Michigan, other states, Minnesota, you're in a far worse situation. If we have this going on here in the Bible Belt, what do you think is going on where you live, right? Here she is, again, Sarah, interviewing someone. Let this be a lesson to us here in America, what's coming, because they're just a little bit ahead of us, folks.
Okay.
It's fucking slavery.
And so you've come from Morocco into Ceuta.
Yeah.
And then where do you want to go from here?
This day I try to be safe these days, this week, especially this week. I try to hit in mountain, in forest. Yesterday I slept in forest.
Okay, so everyone is trying to hide in the mountain and the forest?
Let's see after 1 week what they do with us.
The government?
Yeah.
So you're hoping that the government of Ceuta, Spain, will then take you to the mainland?
Yeah,
Is that what everyone is hoping?
Yeah, it's a dream.
And how come so many people come at the same time? There was thousands.
So videos. They saw videos, and they opened
The gates.
the border. They opened the gate. Since the 9 of morning. My friend entered 11 o'clock at night. More than 12 hours and the gate open.
So what Ale is saying to me is that they've come into Ceuta because the gates and the border was opened from in the morning. Yeah.
And I studied until the university. I finished my university 3 years.
Okay. What did you study?
I studied private law.
Oh, private law.
Private law.
So
yes.
you're educated. Yeah.
Bad education in this.
Bad education. So education. So even Errol is saying to me that the education in Africa is not a good education. That's okay. You stay down. Okay. So the army are coming now.
So film this.
They are.
See you.
Oh.
See you in the.
Bye-bye.
You made a friend. You made a friend, but he saw the army and he bolts. Now, you said Africa, right? So some of these people are from Africa.
Yeah, well, it's obviously it's Morocco. So, and even where we are geographically, it's all Africa. So, but these people from Morocco, I believe some of them have traveled up through Africa, rest of Africa as well, and gone into Morocco.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. So they're not like from Morocco. They've come from deep into Africa, up there, and now invading.
I believe that there is, because obviously you had people invade into Melilla as well, which is also another Spanish sovereignty occupied place, another city of Spain, obviously connected to Morocco. And I think they got it pretty bad as well, to be honest with you.
What was the goal here? What this was invited, right? What is the goal here? What is the government of Spain trying to do here? I know in America, we have our crooked politicians under the Biden regime that lowered the border, let them all in, because they wanted many of them to get on the social welfare system and to collapse our economies, known as the Cloward-Piven strategy. Comes from a husband and wife at Columbia University. He's dead. She's still living. She's got to be. Look up Frances Fox Piven. She's got to be approaching 95 years old, 90, 95, maybe close to 100. She's 93. Yeah, she's still living. And the Cloward-Piven strategy, they did this into New York City years and years ago, was to overwhelm the welfare system, to collapse it. Then they can justify nationalizing things and socializing things. And that's what's going on here in America with letting our borders down, number one. Number two was to get these people here and then get them as citizens, amnesty, and get them to voting. Number three was the NGOs, many of them tied back to politicians, get these NGOs making all kinds of money with the United Nations and different groups, and a big money thing, dumping tons of money through the government, DHS, into the NGOs. And of course, some of that then I think gets kicked back to the politicians. So it was a big money scam. I mean, there's so many things to be said here. Then you have, of course, the desire to bring them in here to disrupt our way of life, to de-Christianize the West, to take away our history and our heritage. You know, the Marxist strategy, demoralize, destabilize, chaos, and then the new norm. Then you create all this chaos, and then you say, well, the only way to really deal with all this is to get everybody a biochip so we know who's here. Then people can go back and forth, but we don't want people double dipping if they're on social services. So to make sure that's not going on, we need everybody biochipped. And they use the crisis to justify the globalist agenda, the World Economic Forum, and all these other people. Why do you think Spain, and I think that's what's going on here in America, and Donald Trump's kind of locked a lot of that down, but why do you think that is going on in Spain? Is it the same agenda there?
It's exactly the same. Exactly the same. They're all playing into the WEF, WHO, and it's a direct attack on Christianity. And they want to destabilize the Western world. And at the end of the day, we need to stand up. When people think that it's not going to come to them, let me tell you, it's coming, and it's coming rapid.
Oh, yeah.
Because our governments are welcoming this. Yep. And our government, our politicians, they're so corrupt. All they care about is lining their pockets. But at the end of the day, when you welcome in third worlders and you get third world problems, they're going to be wiped out too.
Yeah. Let me go to another clip of you. First of all, I have to say, I just met you, but you're very interesting. First of all, what's with the hat? Ice. I mean, what's with the hat? I think that's hilarious. You didn't have your head turned far enough for me to see the E till the very end. I'm like, is she really wearing a hat that says ice? And finally, you turned your head enough for me to pick up on the E in the other clip. You are funny. Okay, so why are you wearing the ice hat? I love it.
Do you know what? I was at Turning Point last year in Arizona, and I had the privilege of meeting some of the ICE officers there, and they was giving out other hats, replica hats. Mm-hmm. And I was chatting to the agent, and I said, oh, can I have one? And he went, oh, sorry, we've run out. And I said, well, only because I was talking to you. You've given them to everyone else. And he went, I've got something better for you. And he reached into the truck and he gave me his hat.
So that's an official ICE hat.
Yeah. And
does anyone else know? Do those people know about ICE when they see your hat? Is anyone saying anything?
Well, I don't know, but I wear it because I like to be incredibly provocative.
I know. Really I know you're being provocative. That's why I like you. And I just met you. I have to also say, I find it very much, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm knowing media, doing media as long as I have, I know when I pick up on someone's style and what they're doing and why I don't know why they're doing it per se, I can guess, but I picked up on several things in your clip. Number one was the ice, okay? So I'm like, she is provocative and I love it. Two, You've got your makeup on, okay? You've got your makeup on. I'm noticing you got your eye makeup on, you got your lipstick on, and then I noticed your fingernails were done and perfect. So you're sending a message. You could go out there completely dressed down, leave all that at home, and not, but you are branding and you are sending a specific message. And I think I know what some of it is. Tell me more about this.
My message is a bit like, well, we on the right, I believe, can look pretty and be intelligent and be groomed and look nice and be provocative and speak the truth. And we're not these, what the left would like to portray us as idiots who have got no education and can't string a sentence together. I think that's further from the truth, you know, with myself. And I like to show that, you know, with the ice hat, I think it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, and I'm standing in the middle of these thousands of men, and they have no idea that the hat that I'm wearing represents sending them all back. And it pisses off the left as well and the mainstream media, because all of them was furious with me.
But you're also feminine. You're also feminine, and that is what I picked up on with the makeup. Your dress, your demeanor, your nails. I'm like, this is not somebody who is rejecting her femininity. She's out there doing her job, but she's also embracing her femininity. And I think that's part of your message.
Definitely. I believe that, you know, myself, I'm all for being a woman, and I believe only women can be women. Men cannot be women. But in this being serious and all of that, I believe I'm quite old-fashioned. Men have a role to play and women have a role to play. And if we allow each other to play our roles properly, then society will be a much better place. Women try to dumb men down and make them be feminized. However, the problem with that is, if we're going to go to war, we need men to protect us.
Yep.
At the end of the day, these woke white liberal females are the problem, because they continuously go to HR and continuously put complaints in about a man who might have just said, "Morning, beautiful. Hope you're having a lovely day." Oh, alarm bells, get him sacked. We don't want anyone like that, misogynistic. Like, God forbid someone pays you a compliment. And I just think that we need to get back to a time when we could be whistled at because we're beautiful. And I'm not a feminist, but I am feminine.
Yeah, I love it. See, and I don't know how much you've studied the cultural Marxists, but the cultural Marxists, the Frankfurt School, came to America in 1933. They wanted to destroy the American male. They openly talked about it. They wanted to destroy a patriarchal society, replace it with a matriarchal society. Then they wanted to go to not male, not female, but a general humanness. And so they said, we're going to go after the American male first, masculinity, because they knew once they took the dad out, the father out, the protector, the provider, the country was easy prey. And now we've seen it. And that's what I was picking up on. Look, you and I just met. We're just now talking. But when I saw the hat, I thought, okay, now I understand why she's bothering to go out there with her makeup done and her nails done. She is sending a message about her femininity, and it is thwarting the whole concept of there is no male, there is no female, we're all the same, it doesn't matter, just a blending of humanity. And you're actually out there as a strong female, but still embracing traditional values. And it's showing in your, and again, I don't think most people would pick up on this, but I do, because I watch people, particularly people in media, what it is they're sending, because most people have done media long enough. They know what they're wearing. They know what the message they're sending, and they are sending a message if people will look. And so I kind of knew what you were doing, but the more you talk, it just reinforces. It's not just an appearance. It's rooted in a philosophy, and you are countering that Marxist philosophy, which wants to destroy male, female, the distinction between the two. And it's brilliant. I love it, because you're actually fighting for what is at the root of really a Christian worldview, that God created them male and female. And then we start talking about what is a family, what is the function of the family government, civil government, church government, local churches, because these are the institutions God created. And right now what you're seeing is, once they destroy families, then what you're left with is now governments being destroyed. And the governments are now using their position not to reward the righteous and punish the wicked, but to now destroy families and overrun families with crime and rape and looting. This is a war on the institutions God created. Would you agree with that, Sarah?
100%. I couldn't agree more. It is. They wanted to break down the family unit by allowing women to have the vote. This wasn't because they all of a sudden thought, oh yeah, let's give women the vote. We feel that they really need the vote. It was so that they could then ultimately get us to go out, start paying taxes. It split up the husband and wife. You know, the wife would be at home being the nurturer and the caregiver, and the husband would be out being the provider and the protector. All of a sudden, if you've got the wife going out to work as well, you're taking her away from her children, where she should be molding them into great adults, you know, molding them as they're going through their stages of life. And unfortunately, you're sending babies off now as young as 3 months off to nursery for somebody else to look after your child and their tiny brains as they grow up with woke ideology. And I totally disagree with it. I want to go back to a time. I blame feminists. I now have to work, run my own business because of feminists. They didn't actually think about what was going to go on in the future and how it was going to strip and break down the family unit. And this is why we've got such a high percentage of divorce. I'm probably, you know what, the governments, and with that view of that they wanted to break down the family unit, I believe that they would have been happy that I split up with my ex-partner and I brought my children up on my own. What they didn't take into, you know, or grasp was that I'm a real woman who can respect my ex-partner and know that he is the father of my children and give him full authority of my kids, and we've brought them up correctly with the right work ethic and the right morals. My boys know that you must take women out and spoil them and treat them and open the door for them and have chivalry. And my daughter knows that she's there to be protected by her boyfriend. And I think that this has been lost so much across, unfortunately, the Western world. And we do not want to turn up like turn out like the alternative, women wearing burqas. I mean, it's absurd. Just going on a couple of other things that I've done that have been notable throughout my time pushing the boundaries. I walked through a 96% Muslim area, or predominantly Muslim area. It's in Whitechapel in East London. And I walked through that in just my underwear, sprayed pink, holding the Union flag.
Wait a minute. I think you're in one of our documentaries, and you got confronted by a bunch of women wearing burqas just showing their eyes, right?
I think that might have been in something else, but that particular one, so to walk through as a woman with just sprayed pink from the neck down in underwear, holding the Union flag in a Muslim area, I mean, that really pushed the boundaries.
And what was your goal in doing that? What was your goal?
Well, my goal was that if we're going to be in an area that's going to be predominantly Muslim, and they tell their women how to dress and how to act and whether they can leave the house, you know, it would mean that, okay, I'm not going to make habit of walking around in my underwear sprayed pink. However, what it done was it pushed the boundary and said, we're going from one end of the spectrum to the other. Do you really want to have it at a time when we have to cover up completely? We only have to have a look at what happened in Iran in the 70s. Women then, it was like London. Women wore mini skirts. They had big fancy blow dries. They had their hair, like their nails done, their hair done. They looked incredible.
And we've shown the pictures. Looked like New York, New York.
Yeah, and men and women socialized together. They went to university together. And then all of a sudden, what happens? The left get in, funded by terrorism. Terrorism takes over, and then you've got the regime. And basically, that's down to feminists. That all come about because of feminists doing a good thing, what they set out for initially, and then it going way past and causing such a problem that they end up getting, you know, forced to be something that they once fought against. And it's terrible. And I think that, you know, people need to look at history, because history has a terrible way of repeating itself.
Doesn't it, though?
What's happening.
Here's the next clip. Here's the next clip from your trip.
Hi guys, so I am here at the border and there is two borders. There's one on the side of Ceuta and there's one on the sides of Morocco. And isn't it funny or ironic really that mainstream media are all here and they are all painting the same picture. They're showing that the Moroccans are being brought back and going peacefully back to Morocco. However, what they're failing to show you is that the amount of these Moroccans that are still up in the mountains, because you've got two types of people that come across. You've got the ones that just joined on for a bit of fun and they've come over here, took a couple of pictures and they are going back. But then you've got the serious ones that are heading to the rest of Europe. They don't want to stay here. They know if they stay up in the mountains and in the shanty towns that they will literally, they can stay for a week, and they believe, they've told me themselves that they believe that they will then be, by Spanish authorities, taken over to the mainland, and that is where then they can cross into the rest of Europe. But isn't it ironic that you've got mainstream media all here and they are all painting the same picture, that all of the Moroccans have gone and it is all peaceful? Well, let me tell you, there is something very different going on here. Like we know, guys, mainstream media and authorities all paint the same picture across the whole of the world.
And before I let you go, Sarah, and we want to stay in touch with you, I'm hearing people say that Israel was behind this. Israel did this. Can you believe that? I mean, you've been on the ground. Have you heard that going around on social media?
Yeah, I have heard that going around. And obviously people were saying about what Netanyahu said because of what Spain had said recently, that there was going to be repercussions. However, I think this is a little bit more, Spanish government needs to be held accountable for what's going on. And I believe that even though they say the Moroccan king is their enemy, I believe that they was working alongside him and social media on that particular side. How was they shown videos, all of these invaders? They've all got phones and they've been shown on social media that they needed to all congregate at the same time on the same date, and that the borders would be opened and there wouldn't be as many personnel to stop them. You know, so this has been orchestrated. Who knows who's really behind it? I have heard them rumors. I just think that I believe it's our governments across the West that are the problem. Obviously, I've got great respect for Donald Trump. I believe that that's why our own politicians in our countries are just hate on him all the time. And I just hope that I always hope that Trump could come over to England and be our prime minister. You know, he's got the connection with his mother was
his
born
family
in Scotland.
is from there. Oh yeah, his family. Oh, absolutely.
You never know.
All right. Will you stay in touch with us where's your next place to go? Do you know yet?
I'm not too sure yet. I kind of wait for news to break, and I'm always ready to just leave at the drop of a hat. I will be in Arizona for Turning Point later on this year.
Okay, we're planning on having someone there and probably having a booth there and doing interviews. So we'll have to have our team interview you there too.
Amazing. That would be amazing. But I'm always up to mischief. I'm always pushing the boundaries. And like you said, with the makeup, it was quite funny because I went across to Ceuta with two guys, and the guys were like, "Come on, Sarah, we're leaving now." And as they turned around, I'm applying more makeup. And they was like, "For God's sake, like, she's about to be attacked and she's applying makeup." So yeah, I had a good time. I love exposing the truth. I actually shut Sky News down in Belfast recently because there was an attempted beheading by one of these invaders on one of their locals. That he was stabbed in both eyes.
We covered that.
Nose cut off.
Yep, we covered that.
I shut Sky News down, and that was a pretty big hit. To be fair.
He was actually helping that guy, and then the guy turned on him.
Yeah, and then thank God one of the locals run over and hit him with a hurley stick.
How long before these do-gooders realize you cannot help these people? They don't care if you help them. They will still come after you. I mean, that guy was supposedly helping him. Then we have the lady that's helping the Afghan people, and she ended up dead in a suitcase last week. Now we have, obviously, October 7th in Israel. These bleeding heart liberals need to understand you cannot help rabid animals and think that they're not going to bite you.
And you know what another problem is? It's continuously that the people on the right are having their, it's men, women, and children. It's all of us that are vulnerable. However, we're having a lot of women that have been murdered, that have been sexually assaulted, have been raped. But the left, there've just been cases recently where these woke white liberal females are going to help these men, and they've been found out for having sexual relationships with these men. So they're giving it up to them on a plate. Because, and I put it out recently, the reason why they're giving it out to them is because no one in their right mind would take a second look at them. So, you know, it's unfortunate. It's us, the women on the right, that are most vulnerable. So, yeah, I've got a real issue with woke white liberal females. They are the bane of my life, to be honest with you.
Well, then let them get on your local HOA and look out. I don't know if you know what HOAs are in your part of the world, but homeowners associations.
Yeah, I know.
Sarah, let's show her X account. So if you guys want to follow her, there it is. It's Sarah White Truth, at Sarah White Truth. If you'd like to follow her, she has a lot of videos we didn't have time to get to that you can go and see a lot of her reports. You've seen some of these we just showed you. But look, there is Tommy. Did Tommy retweet some of your stuff?
Yes, I'm good friends with Tommy. After I got arrested last year for holding up the Union flag, he had me speak on his stage, and since then we've become good friends. And I was in Washington the same time as him, and then I went on to CPAC. I really tried to come over to America as much as possible.
Well, let us know when you're back. We've had Tommy on several times, and he's supposed to be coming on again next week. So you will be part of our conversation next week.
Amazing. I love Tommy. He's a great guy, and you know what? Hats off to him for all that he does. He's really puts himself in the firing line, and he gets verbally attacked all the time and physically attacked. And I've had it now. People are starting to notice who I am. I had a guy follow me in Belfast International recently and tried to follow me to an area that I was on my own and get abusive to me. Little did he know that I actually have got bigger balls than most men, and I won't put up with crap like that. So, he got a piece of my mind.
Yeah, Sarah White, don't mess with her. Sarah White, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute privilege, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.
You can count on it. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah White checking in. We'll be right back.
Take a look at the water you just poured. It looks clean. It tastes fine. But what's really in it? Lead, fluoride, arsenic, chlorine, pesticides, PFAS forever chemicals, pharmaceutical residues, and bacteria. Every single day, these toxins flow straight from your tap into your glass, into your family. It's time for Sentry H2O from Worldview Water. Sentry H2O is the ultimate water treatment technology, designed to remove harmful toxins, balance your water's pH, and enrich it with essential minerals like calcium and magnesium, the way nature intended. From commercial-scale systems to whole-house filtration to crisp, delicious drinking water right at your kitchen sink and shower, Sentry H2O delivers cleaner, healthier water everywhere you need it. No plumber, no tools, no plumbing knowledge required. Perfect for homes, apartments, rentals, RVs, refrigerators, and more. Because everyone deserves access to clean, healthy water. Visit worldviewwater.net. That's worldviewwater.net.
Join me now in studio is Courtenay Turner. Courtenay, welcome back to the broadcast. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You were in town for an appointment, and we got the privilege of having you come on over to the studio.
Yes, that was the silver lining of the appointment.
Yes, silver lining. Glad you're here this evening. All right, so let's talk about a couple things. I want to talk about Jack Posobiec, this character, and his statement that I'm not a capitalist, he said the other day. Yes. I want to dive into that because you and I both believe that MAGA has been completely infiltrated. President Trump is getting, I think, some really bad advice on a geopolitical level, too, his foreign policy. But before that, on radio today, I talked about the fact that America is really at a real tipping point here, that the Democrat primaries are going on tonight. And obviously, we're really watching to see what happens in Michigan with this guy that's running up in Michigan for U.S. Senate, who we think is certainly Democratic, Socialist of America aligned, Islamic aligned, etc. The Marxists and the Islamists are really gaining steam in America. The anti-Semitism is ramping up, which is causing many people on the right to side with the Muslims now, which is
amazing,
isn't it? And the timing of all this, which a lot of it's being funded by our enemies, Russia, China, Iran,
yes,
I think Qatar, et cetera, right?
Yes.
So the timing has to be discussed. But I talked on radio today that we're really at a tipping point when you consider the Civil War, the Revolutionary War in America, the Civil War, and now we're at this third tipping point for the survival of the country as we know it.
Yeah.
Is that an overstatement?
No, I think that's pretty accurate.
And Annie Cyrus and I were talking last night that we're really going to know the future of the country in the next 26 months. The next 2 months will give us an idea with the midterms. So I mean, because here we are, today is August 4th, right? So we got August, September, October. So we're really two months away from the November election, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So you had 24 months to the presidential plus the 2 months now, that's 26 months. 26 months from now, we will know whether America is going to survive as a free society or not.
Yeah.
Based on what happens 8 weeks from now in the midterms, and then what happens in 2 years at the presidential election. So we got 26 months to know what's going to happen. In the meantime, we have these Marxists and Islamists being elected who are talking about ending the police, opening prisons, doing away with the Supreme Court. So would you agree that America is now at this third stage? What was the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and now the stage we're in now, this battle going on right now?
Yeah, I don't know what we would call this battle, but it definitely looks like America's on the precipice of possibly no return. Yeah, I think there are several things going on. We have, as you mentioned, there's the communist Muslim infiltration. We've talked a lot about the technocratic kind of coup. It might be a way to word it. At least that's how it feels. I think that's a very significant as well. And then there is this where you have so much deception, which you could probably speak to from a biblical perspective. But I think that's what I find really frustrating is I'm watching a lot of people who think they're fighting for America. And they're, in my opinion, being very much led astray and very deceived. So you have all of these, because we have these parties, the political parties, people have kind of, I always make the joke, it's not really funny, but, I describe political parties as like shiny wrappers that are marketed to target audiences. So people start to wear those wrappers. They buy the jacket that says Republican, the jacket that says Democrat, conservative, liberal, whatever it may be. But essentially, it creates these alliances and ways for people to be fighting each other. But they all seem to be leading us very far astray from an actual constitutional republic and the founding principles and the founding metaphysics that our country was, based upon. And what our Declaration of Independence set out to do and what it was founded upon, what it codified. And that was supposed to be what the Constitution is, the legal extension of. And we've gotten really far away from that. So that's what I'm seeing is that you've got all these people who will, they're grasping, because I think they sense that there is so much turmoil and that we are at a really crucial point. People always say that, right? That this is the most important election ever. Right.
But it is.
But I think so. And I think so people, I think they recognize that, whether consciously or not. But they're thinking that attaching themselves to these alliances is going to somehow save it. But I think they're wearing shields it's kind of how I see it. Mm-hmm. So underneath the shield is a Trojan horse.
So the question is, well, let me put it this way. For many years, I've been using this phrase, the globalists are letting the junkyard dogs off the leash. The globalists are letting the junkyard dogs off the leash. And I'm talking about them letting off the Marxists and the Islamists to destroy the westernized countries, right? And then after they create the chaos, they're going to come in with the solutions. Biometrics, tracking.
That's right.
The deal with the extremist on either side, right?
Yes, that's right.
I'm very concerned that there are those in the MAGA world that are either they are provocateurs that have been sent in, or they're just very, very naive, foolish people. But whether they've been sent in or whether they really believe these things, the bottom line is they're saying things,
Or they've been incentivized.
Yeah. So is it the MICE strategy?
The MICE, yeah.
Which stands for
Money, ideology, coercion, compliance, ego. And then I usually like to add the F for like family ties, you know.
So they've either been coerced through the MICE strategy, or so whatever their motivation is.
Yeah.
They've dragged things into the conservative world, the Christian world, the MAGA world now too, obviously. Yeah. And they are saying things that are going to fall into fulfilling what the globalists want, which is to say that the extremes on either side are the problem, the right. And the left, or using the right hands, the left and the right, as people, my right, my left, for those on television, it's obviously opposite. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These people have been sent in as provocateurs, or they've been incentivized, or they really believe it because they're foolish, whatever. But they are saying and doing things that will say, okay, our problems are the Islamists, the Marxists, but also the people on the far right, the nationalists, right?
Yep.
Is that what's happening?
I think that's absolutely what's happening. And then they're selling you that we're going to have a participatory democracy. This is what I was talking about with the AI World Society America 250 series that I did. Interestingly enough, they call him Sandy, but Alex Petland is one of the founders of this AI World Society. He's one of the signers of their declaration, which is, all the words, it's polysemy, so it's all the words that sound like our declaration, but all the meanings have been hollowed out. But he coins the term, well, he didn't coin it, but he uses the term social physics, which I think is fascinating because Auguste Comte was the one who coined sociology, but before he named it sociology, it was called social physics. And this is what the whole Saint-Simon, I'm mispronouncing it in French, Henry de Saint-Simon and Auguste Comte, who was his secretary and disciple, that whole framework is what Engels, as in Marx and Engels, yes, coined the administration of things, which is technocracy. It's scientific dictatorship. And so with this now with Sandy, Alex Petland, who is part of this AI World Society that now rebranded as an AI Wisdom Society, and is in partnership with Boston Global Forum, Michael Dukakis. They're doing America at 250, so for our 250th anniversary, a beacon for the AI age. But what they're targeting us with is how, because there's so much trouble between the, all the factions, that we could have a true participatory democracy because our system is failing. And so we need we're not a democracy. So this is already false advertising here. The solution is false advertising, but this is what they're selling us. And of course, the solution is going to be AI. And you see this not just from them, but that's a huge one, because it is a UN centennial agenda. But, you see this from a lot of the libertarian movements. The United Independents. I had written an article on this too. I called it the technological age of Aquarius. It's basically about the third way. And this is what you're seeing from people like the United Independents, Andrew Yang. It's not left, it's not right, it's forward. And they're all vying for something very similar. They have different names for it: liquid democracy, quadratic voting, conviction voting, but it's all AI. Good. Yeah, but it's the common good. Yeah, that one is slightly different, but it's similar concepts.
It's the third way idea.
Yes.
Thesis, antithesis, the ideas merge for a third way.
But it's because the two extremes. We can't have the extremes.
You can't have them.
But so you lose hope in all of the institutions altogether, in the whole system altogether. This is what I think I've talked to you about also, the Trust Foundation. That's their whole premise. We can't, because of the post-war World War consensus, post-World War II, all the trust in the institutions are failing. And
but
so
isn't that what Biden, the whiplash we got from a Biden administration to a Trump administration? Yeah. I mean, talk about extremes, right? the Biden administration going after people, MAGA people, pro-life people, moms at school board meetings, knocking down the doors of people, hauling them off in the middle of the night for just things where you should have just contacted their attorney and said, come in for questioning or whatever, locking people up for so long without their day in court, all of that going on in the Biden years. And then you come to the Trump years, and it's just this reaction to the opposite end, which some of the things they're doing we would agree with, right?
Sure.
But how do you have this extreme? And yet Biden failed, right?
Yeah.
And now we're finding out about Fauci and what he was lying and saying.
As if we didn't know he was lying.
Right,
He's been lying his whole career.
Right. And then, but then you go to what is supposed to be the solution and the opposite polar opposite. And now, unfortunately, Trump is failing, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like the globalists have said, we're going to give the American people Biden. And then we're going to give them Trump. And what they're going to see is Biden or Trump. Neither one of them is the solution. Neither of those groups.
So this was the article I read, The Trap with Two Doors, right? We have the two sides. And this is, I called it kind of like Russiagate 2.0 was the subtitle, because that is typically what they do. If we remember the whole Russiagate scandal, I mean, there was actually foreign interference, but they created so much fear that it's like, you become desensitized to it, right? And so then you don't look at what's actually happening, and it's just the pendulum swing back and forth. So people are drawn to both sides, but they end up in the same place. And I think that's what we're seeing now.
So the Biden years didn't work. The folks didn't get what they wanted. Obama didn't give people what they wanted.
Obviously,
right?
yeah.
So, but Obama didn't do it. Biden didn't do it. Trump didn't do it.
Or maybe he did. Hope and change. He definitely gave us the radical change.
Yeah,
but, right.
He
said he wanted to fundamentally transform America.
Many of the people that said they would never vote for someone like a Trump after Obama, they voted for Trump the first time around. Some of them voted for him the second time around because the other side didn't deliver, right? They didn't get what they wanted. Many Black Americans came to vote for Donald Trump that would have never voted for Trump, but because they didn't get what they were promised under Biden or Obama, they voted for Trump, right?
Yeah.
Biden. So what I'm saying is it's a psychological setup. Yeah. You get Obama, you get Biden, you got Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump, and none of it's worked.
Well, but I think the important thing is none of it is getting us closer to restoring the Constitution.
Correct.
That's what we need.
Right.
We don't need extremes on either. We need constitutional restoration.
But their solution is we don't need the extremes on either side. What we need is technocracy.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what's going on, right?
That's what it looks like to me.
And of course, I don't know how far down the road they're going to...
And we need technocracy because our system is too flawed. It's too far gone. It's already failed. So that's how they convince...
It failed on the left. It failed on the right.
Exactly.
So convince the American people to let a neutral system take over.
Yes.
I.e.
the trusted infrastructure.
AI.
Yep.
Now, the question becomes, do we go to a monarchy as... Curtis Yarvin is calling for, where you have a stronger presidency? I frankly don't know that that's going to be acceptable because I think Obama, I think Biden, Biden for sure, but I even think now Trump, with his failures on a geopolitical level, these guys are shrinking the presidency.
Well,
would you agree?
I would agree, except that I don't think they're not talking about a monarchy in the sense of a one-person dictator. They're talking about the guy who's going to consolidate everything and have it be run by all of these. It's like a corporation now is using all these AI tools. So they see the CEO as like kind of the CEO of the tech company that's now going to manage the technate, not so much as like
the president.
Yeah.
So what would they call him?
Well, they call him like a tech startup CEO.
Yeah, but if they remake our system in America, it would no longer be Congress or the judicial branch. So you wouldn't have be a technate.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have your judicial, legislative, and executive branch. You would probably end up with more of a North American Union and merging the countries together. And then who would be in charge? Who would it be? One individual, one CEO? That kind of,
the way it looks like it's heading is maybe a committee. I mean, the way
North American Parliament.
The way it looks like it's heading is it's corporations. It's like the ones who. They may have the theory of having it be run by committee or be run by some sort of like a CEO startups kind of a figure, but the way it actually looks in practice, I'm seeing you've got an AI empire, and you've got these corporations who run the AI.
Right, I get that, but who are they going to sell it to? If they sell it to a North American region like Canada, Mexico, and America, who are they going to say is really running it? Because we've discussed before that some of the George H. Bush people wanted to go to a parliamentary system.
Yeah.
So are they going to put in a parliamentary system? Because all Mexico, America, and Canada, we're all collapsing. Right, we're decreasing militarily, we're decreasing economically. The days of America is going down. We are not at the golden age. We are the Titanic, and we're sinking. And I know they can sell it, but we're at $40 trillion debt, $29 trillion with unfunded liability of Social Security alone. Then you add in all the other unfunded liabilities. We're over $100 trillion. The dollar is dying. Japan just got bailed out by, I guess they're going to get bailed out by us. They've been buying our debt, but now we're going to help them out, I guess. This is just one domino from falling, which knocks it all down. And then they have to go to something once we have this global reset. What will that something be? We're going to go into unions and then with the power of like Canada, Mexico, and America, a North American Union. And together we can all be strong, with our economy, because now we're bringing in all the assets of all three countries, cheaper labor, you got the resources of Canada. Is that what they're going to do? And are they going to justify it with a parliament? But really behind the parliament are standing the corporate leaders that are really running everything, or the central banks.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think Pax Silica is indicative of where they're trying to
What is that?
head.
Tell people what that is.
So Pax Silica is in a U.S.-led infrastructure, which the name, Pax is like Pax Americana, Pax Romana, Pax Britana is the idea of like the age of peace with that nation. So it's a kind of a peace-led pact. But really, I think a more accurate way to think of it is like hegemony. So it's there, but with this, it's not in terms of, they do phrase it as kind of like a defense military infrastructure, but it's with silicon. So they're setting up, but this sets up not just the AI but it's with the compute, obviously land, because it's the, where everything's being shipped through, all of the supply chain infrastructure. So it's actually controlled a lot. It's the compute, the AI, the rails, all of it. And obviously land and materials, the raw materials to make chips are going to be part of it as well. But you've got, I think, 24 countries who are part of it already. And I do think it looks like, Patrick and I have done several shows and he's written several articles, I have as well, on this. And we're in agreement that it looks like it was done to box China out, although they need China because China has all the minerals for the chips. So I think it's a way of creating leverage over China. It's strategically very smart, but I think that's part of how they're planning to assert some sort of, technological dominance and infrastructure, because everything is done through trusted rails. So which trust in, technocratic managerial terms is about scoring and metrics and rating. So it's permissions, essentially, permissions and denial. It's not trust like you and I build trust and we earn, through a rapport, we earn each other's trust. It's not relational. It's technocratic. And that seems to be the infrastructure that's being set up.
Which means then who really will hold the power will be corporations.
That's what it looks like to me.
Central banks.
Yeah, and public-private partnerships.
Which is your communitarianism.
Yes.
Okay, so this brings us to an interesting point. And that is, we played this, and we've been warning about Jack Posobiec. There's something about him from a spiritual standpoint that really creeps me out, gives me major red flags, even just his appearance. And not many people do that, but there are a few, just their appearance causes like some kind of spiritual radar to go off.
Oh, yeah.
In my mind,
I actually,
in my being, that there's something to be very aware of this guy, and not in a good way, in my theological,
I met him in
spiritual
person,
opinion.
And I didn't recognize him, and he was so offended. And
you've met him in person?
Yeah, and I was being introduced, and I just didn't recognize him, and I said, "Oh, hi, I'm Courtenay. Your name?" And he looked at me like I mean, the daggers, he was so offended.
Because you didn't know him?
Yeah.
Well,
And so I think it was Seth Dillon who introduced me and told me his name. He didn't even tell me himself. Wow. He was so offended.
Now, what is his relationship with Turning Point USA? Do you know?
Other than they bring him in as a speaker.
Logan.
Yeah.
Logan, what's Jack Posovic's relationship with Turning Point USA?
Does he have an official relationship?
Yeah, does he?
I think he just comes in
a regular guest?
like a speaker. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we played this the other day, and this is kind of what I'm getting to when I talk about, here he is, I think he's on Turning Point USA when this is being played. Okay. But this is what I'm talking about when I talk about MAGAs kind of being taken over and being, we have this
being infiltrated.
Anti-Semitism rising within MAGA. We saw that, right? And then now we're seeing this idea that, hey, I'm not for capitalism. Well, if you're not for capitalism, what are you for? Are you for the public-private partnership? Are you for communitarianism?
Well, he claims he's a Christian. He said, I don't think we should use the country capital for the country.
Yeah, that's not Christian.
Yeah.
But of course, the guy is promoting, he's holding his rosary up. He's saying all kinds of things on social media that is not even.
He's essentially promoting Leninism with a cross on it.
Wow.
The veneer of Christianity. That's what it looks like. I mean, Bannon actually said he retracted it later. Bannon wrote the foreword for his book.
Steve Bannon?
Yes, Steve Bannon wrote the foreword for his book, Unhuman, which classifies people. Which to me, my opinion, that's not a very Christian thing.
Well, I haven't read his book, but I know he's on social. Logan, what is some of the stuff he said on social media lately? Like Jesus was a Christian? Yeah. Can you show that? Of course, is this guy so...
Well, he actually
I just got to make clear. Jesus, the church didn't come about until Acts, right?
Yeah, I know.
Jesus said, I must go so the Comforter can come. So Christ ascends into heaven. Then we have the disciples become the apostles, and they lay down the foundational doctrine of the church. And then we have the arrival of the church and the day of Pentecost and the filling of the Holy Spirit and the beginning of the church. And yet he's saying Jesus was a Christian. I'm like, okay.
He was Jewish.
He's Jewish.
Yeah.
And of course, the church didn't start. It's kind of like, again, saying Abram was a Christian or Abraham was a Christian. I mean, it
didn't exist at the time.
Or calling people during the tribulation, they become Christians. And I know people make that mistake. But the church, if you believe in the pre-tribulation rapture, the church has been removed. And what the scriptures in Revelation refer to them as saints, or we call them the tribulation saints. These guys don't even seem to understand basic theology. Did you find it where he said that, Logan? He's looking. But while he finds it. But I mean, he's saying the craziest stuff out there on social media. Does he really believe this, or is he being provocative? In your opinion?
I don't know. It seems like he believes it. But I honestly don't know. What I do know is that there seems to be I can't prove that there's some sort of that they're plants and they've been placed there, but there does seem to be a circling of wagons, if you will. Like I said, Bannon wrote the foreword for his book, Unhuman. Did
you say he withdrew it?
No, he wrote the foreword.
Okay, what did you say about he withdrew? What are you talking about?
Oh, he withdrew his statement. Bannon, I think it was back in, 2013 in The Beast? He said that he's a Leninist. He said Lenin wanted to do away with the state. And he agrees. He's like, I'm a Leninist.
But he's now withdrawn that statement?
He's now recanted that statement. I think, but my opinion...
You have all that documented?
Yeah, we do have documents of that. I think I might have sent that to you. But he claims he withdrew it. My opinion is that he's withdrawn it now because it's not politically expedient. Mm-hmm. People are catching on. And people are catching on. So I wrote an article about Meet MAGA's favorite communists, and this was about Christopher Rufo. And I think they're aligned. They certainly, there's much reciprocity and cross-promotion between them. And Rufo and Posobiec are both saying we need to use their tactics. And so Christopher Rufo essentially said that Gramsci should be like a herald of the right, that we should be using...
Antonio Gramsci, for those who don't know, is an Italian communist, for Pete's sake.
Who later they coined the term, Long March Through the Institutions, which
greatly influenced the Frankfurt School, which are the cultural Marxists.
Gramsci himself didn't actually say
Christian,
that, but yeah.
You really think it's Christian to follow the philosophies of Gramsci?
That's what I'm saying. And he's Posobiec, and is also, affiliated with with Doug Wilson. And
Doug Wilson is the Calvinist, Reconstructionist, Dominionist type.
And he was...
which is tied back to Pete Hegseth.
Yes, exactly. He was... I don't know what his position with Claremont was, but they gave him like a big position with Claremont. Claremont Haywood has created that SACR, which is basically like a secret fraternity. They have lodges, and that Doug Wilson is involved with one of those lodges.
Well, here is Pasovic. We played it the other day, and the reason we're playing it again is we're trying to make the point that MAGA has been, I think, hijacked and has been steered into the ditch. And whether it's the anti-Semitism rising.
Well, there's several factions. I
Yes,
think we
there
can
are.
go through each of them, but if you want to play the
Okay,
clip
here we
first,
go. Here we go. Let me plug in the audio so
yeah,
you can hear it. Here we go.
Like what? So then we need to.
What's the
shame
solution?
Them.
The solution is MAGA. The
capitalists.
solution is nationalist populism.
No.
Actually do it.
What is the solution to getting Kevin O'Leary not to do that? Take it away from him? To shame him? Make sure that you can't post it on
shame
social
him.
media?
Absolutely.
But
He
like
should absolutely
we are
be shamed.
capitalists.
100%.
Like we are fundamentally pro
I'm not a
somebody
capitalist.
spending their wealth.
What?
Pro
I'm not a
somebody
capitalist.
spend. Pro
I'm not a
somebody
capitalist.
spending. Pro
I'm not a
somebody
capitalist.
spending their wealth how they want to spend their wealth.
I don't think we should center our country around capital. I think that's not.
Pro
I'm not a
somebody
capitalist.
spending their wealth. Pro
I'm not a
somebody
capitalist.
spending. Pro
I'm not a
somebody
capitalist.
spending their wealth how they want to spend their wealth.
I don't think we should center our country around capital. I think that's not Christian.
Like
Capital. Well, that's very interesting because what does the Bible say? The Bible says you gain wealth over the course of time through the sweat of your brow, putting your hand to the plow. He who does not work shall not eat. Isn't it interesting in the Bible? And the Bible has so much to say about money. Money is not the root of all evil. It's the love of money. Money, again and again in the Bible, is tied back to work. And what is money in the Bible? It's described as gold, silver, cattle, houses, and land. And what do you have when you combine those? Work. Because silver, you don't just walk around and pick it up. You have to dig it up out of the earth. You have to mine it. You have to refine it. You have to purify and get off the drudge from it and the garbage around it and have your purified commodity, whether silver or gold. And some parts of the world today, it's very dangerous to go and get it because it's in a third world country run by dictators. And you might cut a deal with them and start mining. And then after you spend a bunch of time putting up all the infrastructure for mining and you strike it, they come and steal your mind because you're in a third world country that does respect the rule of law. So for a lot of companies are like, do we put our capital at risk to go do that? But notice again, what is tied to making gold and silver valuable? It's tied back to work. I mean, we don't trade seashells today because you can walk on the beach and pick them up. There's no work really involved, right? Same thing with cattle. It takes work to have a cattle program and to feed them and to raise them and to care for them and to slaughter them and to prepare the meat.
I think the word is stewardship.
Uh-huh. And isn't that what we were told in the garden? We weren't given dominion in the garden. We were given stewardship, as you say. And even before the fall, they were to work and tend the garden. Even before, so work is not a curse. People often say, well, we have to work because Adam and Eve sinned. No, they were working and tending the garden. And the Lord God worked 6 days and they rested on the seventh. So work is not a curse. Work is a blessing.
Absolutely. And, I did a review of the Odyssey. It was really more commentary on the foundation of Western civilization and how an adaptation would deracinate us from the roots. But what it made me think of is our civilization is obviously derived from the ancient Greek. And, we've talked before about the Declaration of Independence and the concept of eudaimonia, which the founders took up with pursuit of happiness. But part of eudaimonia in the ancient Greek is this concept of archikia. And that is the concept of self-sufficiency of the home. And it's this idea that in order to have eudaimonia, which is human flourishing towards virtue, you have to have the self-sufficiency. And this is what the oikos, the household was all about. And I think that we've gotten so far away from understanding that concept because, as you said, the love of money, the idea of focusing on the hyper focus on just the material transaction, that's completely removed from any kind of stewardship. is, I think, a huge part of the problem. So it's not, he phrased it, the capital. That's not the issue. The issue is that we're so removed from any kind of stewardship. And I think this is an interesting concept, too, because you have a lot of people talking about Elon Musk's universal higher income and how that's essentially communism, and how people are going to be, so depressed because they'll have no meaning in their life. And what we're missing is that meaning doesn't come from a paycheck. Meaning comes from the stewardship, feeling like you have built something. You built something for yourself, for your family, for posterity. And I think that's the
well, the Bible says that a righteous man leaves an inheritance for his family, and that's spiritual as well as, I think, monetarily. Sure. He says, I'm not a capitalist. I don't think we should base it on capital. Now, capitalism is the pejorative of Karl Marx. We would maybe refer to it better as the free market system. Right. But in the Bible, you see that free market. Work and reward. Right. Work and reward over the course of time.
It's the fruits of your labor, right?
Right. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covet. Private property. Private contract. That's all part of the free market system. So if you're not for that, Jack Posobiec, then what is it you're for? Dana Lash, right below that, where that was posted by somebody. I don't know, this was posted by whoever this is. Yeah, and then right below it, Dana Lash comes in and says, he's just confirming what we already knew about him. This Addie says he's a moron. Jack Posobiec, another person says, is a fake conservative. Yeah, I mean, he's simply not a conservative at all, says another person. And then, of course, people are saying, what is wrong with Turning Point that they humor this complete idiot? Wake up. We're not stupid. There's no way Charlie Kirk would not repudiate and distance himself from this. I mean, I know it calls for speculation on your part, but why is this staying inside TPUSA? Why do they not just distance themselves from these kind of people? What's your opinion?
My opinion?
It has to be an opinion because I don't think you're in the meetings, are you?
I'm not in the meetings. So, well, I have a theory on what Turning Point is doing. And this is really pure speculation. So, yeah, we'll frame it as just an opinion. I think it's a data collection operation, to be quite honest. This is not an assault on Erica. I'm not playing the, dialectical theater game here. But her mother does run a company that's called E3 Tech. Erica herself said that that's the reason they moved from Ohio to Arizona is because her mom had contracts with DOD, Department of Homeland Security, and so that's why they moved to Arizona. But this company, I actually have the screenshot. They intentionally scrubbed it, and I know it was intentional because they blocked robot.txt, so you can't get it on the Wayback Machine, but I have the screenshot. And it used to say, now it's very kind of like whitewashy, just do cybersecurity. That's their claim. There are those videos, I haven't dug too much into it, so I won't put too much weight on it, but, of Erica doing CIA cybersecurity videos. But the company used...
You have that?
Yeah, I can get it for you. Yeah.
What is it?
There were videos that she did, like some presentations on cybersecurity that were apparently CIA affiliated. So I haven't verified all of that, but I have seen those videos come through. I know her company is cybersecurity. I can.
Whose company?
Her mom's. That I can. It's called E3 Tech. That I can vouch for, and I can show you the former screenshots and what they've changed the company to. But the former screenshot used to say that what their specialty, this is what they were marketing to, their company marketing was about, that they could do cultural, linguistic, and human terrain systems. Human terrain systems is what Stanley McChrystal wrote his book on, Teams of Teams.
The former general.
Yes. And also the one who did that whole Defeat Disinfo campaign using AI to target Trump supporters. But yeah, so they were advertising that that's their specialty. Now, human terrain systems was shut down in 2013 by the American Anthropological Society because they deemed it unethical. Essentially, it was reminiscent of like Operation Phoenix in Vietnam. So my theory, to take all that in the background, so my theory is that they've got all these chapters that are now open, and all of them have apps. Like the Student Action Summit has its own app. Like every single one of them has their own app. So, I mean, it's a huge opportunity for data mining. And they have now, John Mappin has the whole GPUK, so they're doing it over in Great Britain as well. So it's not just here. And it's a way of So I think there is an element of, some sort of data collection operation.
Interesting. Let me go to another clip. Yeah. This is Dave Rubin interviewing.
Again, that's just opinion based on,
yeah, your opinion based on what you've seen. All right. Yeah. Here is Dave Rubin interviewing Jack Posobiec. Here we go. Listen.
All right. Because you mentioned God, and part of this conference is how do we take traditional, say, religious conservatives? How do we take the disaffected liberals? How do we take the libertarians? How do we take the Trumpers and the whole thing? And can we piece this freaking monster, this Frankenstein together? Do you think it can hold? I mean, that really has been the theme here. It's what I think is the future if guys like us are going to survive.
Well, what it is that there is a Frankenstein's monster, right? And it's Kendi's monster, and it's critical race theory monster that I think everyone from these various different nodes and factions and tribes have all realized is just kind of screwing everything up. And so, I think that on one hand, you've got like a conservative Catholic like myself, who would say, all right, we need to end this. But you might also want someone in the room to be able to say, all right, but we don't necessarily want to institute a Catholic integralist monarchy in the United States. Let's stick with the pluralism. Let's go with the rules of the road. And I say, all right, fine. I'll concede that for now.
Yeah, for now.
All right. So the question is it's a serious question. Is Jack Posobiec a Jesuit? Is he Jesuit trained? Where did he go to school?
I don't know, but he
Logan?
was.
Logan, can you look up where Jack Posobiec? Did you find his tweet about Jesus?
He was Navy. He was Navy.
Get on the mic.
It was about Adam and Noah. Here.
Oh, I thought I for sure saw one where he referred to Jesus as a Christian.
Jordan Peterson posted with regards to Judeo-Christian, the Ten Commandments are Jewish. The great stories of the Old Testament are Jewish. The Jews developed the idea. Blah, blah,
this is Jordan Peterson.
That's Jordan Peterson, right?
He said this is not what Christians believe. And then in replies, he said Adam and Noah were Jewish. He responded to Abraham, or was Christian.
Adam was a Christian. Moses was Christian. David was Christian. Well, wait, but that's not quotes from him, is it?
This is right here. Adam and Noah were Christian.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he never said Jesus was Christian. It was Adam and Noah.
Not that I can see.
Okay.
Which is also.
But then again, if you have a dissension coming here,
yeah, I'm not following.
They follow the line.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
But he went to Temple College.
He went to Temple College.
But he was naval intelligence. And here's what's interesting is that
I'm back to the question: is he Jesuit or Jesuit trained?
I know. I don't know.
What did he say? We'll concede not having the. Let me go back to it.
Catholic like myself, who would say, all right, we need to end this. But you might also want someone in the room to be able to say, all right, but we don't necessarily want to institute a Catholic integralist monarchy in the United States. Let's stick with the pluralism. Let's go with the rules of the road. And I say, all right, fine. I'll concede that for now.
Okay, for now. But Georgetown. Go to Georgetown, the Jesuit University of Georgetown. What's their logo? It's an eagle with the cross in one talent and the world in the globe in the next, and of the two, one in Latin. And we know that for how long have the Jesuits, Logan, check my memory here, will you? Were the Jesuits founded in 1540?
That sounds right.
I think the Jesuits were founded in 1540. And their goal really has been world domination. Mm-hmm. So dominionism. Everybody wants to rule the world, as the 80s song says, right? The Muslims, the Jesuits, the New Apostolic Reformation, the Dominionists.
The order was founded in 1534.
The Russian?
What was it?
1534.
1534. What happened in 1540?
In Paris, and officially approved by the Vatican in 1540.
Thank you. That's what I was.
What happened?
Mm-hmm. It was officially approved by the Vatican in 1540.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I know he seems to be a disciple of Bannon, who is
he's got all kinds of Catholic garbage behind him.
Yeah, and
right on his isn't that all kinds of Mariology and all kinds of stuff behind him?
That's what. Yes, it's at least the veneer he's wearing. I mean, he seems to be a traditionalist.
Well, a lot of people like Chris Pinto and others say that the CIA was modeled after the Jesuits.
I've heard that. Yeah, I don't know. But they're both Navy intelligence, and Jack Posobiec actually had his clearance revoked for his social media behavior.
Oh, really?
And what's interesting about that is then he was still able to go on that defense plane with Hegseth. overseas. And that's kind of strange when he had his clearance revoked.
Can you bring up an article showing that his clearance was revoked?
I had sent that to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking for the article on it.
Okay.
So just to prove it, so we have everything up on the screen.
Yeah, of course. Pretty sure I did send that.
If Logan, you ought to have it in the emails. And so the question really is how many of these people are either Jesuits, Jesuit aligned, Jesuit trained? I don't know. How many of them are from the intelligence community and they're sent in?
There's definitely Russian connections. I mean, he posted those 28 tweets from Stormfront, which is like a former, it's like an IRA offshoot, which is Internet Research Agency. People seem to always think of Irish Republic Army whenever I say that, but it's not. It's the Internet Research Agency, which was actually disbanded in 2023, but they decentralized, so they have a bunch of offshoots. And he amplified 28 tweets from them. There was another organization that he also amplified that was also Russian linked. And then there were the Macron leaks that he amplified. So, I mean, there seems to be some sort of...
So at least, I think it was Trevor Loudon the other night said these guys, Bannon, Posobiec, seem very friendly with the idea of Russia.
I think so. That's, or at least if they're not wittingly, they're very useful. So they're being amplified because they're useful to the Russian agenda. I mean, even just their narratives very much are. You know, they're... And
then you have him saying this is the Republican accountability. Jack Posobiec at CPAC. Let's play this.
Yeah.
Listen to this.
All right, welcome. I just wanted to say, welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it and replace it with this right here. We'll replace it with this right here.
Amen. Okay, what is he holding up in the air there, guys? Is that his rosary again?
We'll replace it with this right here.
Amen. All right. It seems like he's holding up his rosary again. Okay, so we're going to overthrow democracy, which they didn't finish on January 6th. And I was tweeting out on January 5th, don't go to, it's still in our archive, don't go, this is a trap. I tweeted out the night before, I thought January 6th was a trap.
Yeah.
Don't go.
Oh, yeah. My husband told me that. I unfortunately did not listen. But
oh, you went?
I did.
Where were you?
Like
on the ground? Where? Where?
Oh, yeah. It was like right up front.
But you never got a knock on the door, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was terrified. I know somebody who was like part of our group who did, and for months they hounded her. Yeah.
Wow. But you didn't go in the building.
No.
So
I had personal issues that day. I did not make it over there.
So I want to know what are they talking about? Let me play that clip again.
All right, welcome. I just wanted to say, welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it and replace it with this right here. We'll replace it with this right here.
Wow. Well, if that's indeed the rosary, that's not the first time he's done that. And this really brings up the question, which really is, what is it they want to replace it with? Now, I'm not in favor of democracy as defined by the progressives, which is the majority rule, the 51%. Our founders called democracy the devil's own, a volcano. It always commits suicide, mobocracy.
Yes.
We're a constitutional republic.
Yes.
So I know
it's already, it's already like a false premise.
Right. So I don't know when he says we want to overthrow democracy, maybe he's saying we don't want to go with what we have now, which is the mobocracy, the rule of the 51%. So if that's what he's talking about, I can understand his lack of, appreciation for or desire for continuing a system based on the majority rule, because that's not what we're to be. We're to be a republic. But if he says we're going to replace it with this, if indeed that's his rosary, it comes back to the clip we just heard from him. Well, this Catholic-dominated government-type system, well, we'll give you a pass on that for right now. So the question is, who is pulling the strings? What are they going for? Who are they going for? A religious government? Because I'm coming at it from a biblical standpoint. Revelation chapter 17, verse 1, clearly is describing a world false church, a global false dominant church that rises in such power that the Antichrist uses it to gain control. But in Revelation 17, the Antichrist and his 10 world assistants finally turn and devour her and get rid of her and eat of her flesh and strip her naked. And the new system is built of Antichrist in charge. So you got to have a world religious system of some kind. What will that religious system be? And of course, who was promoting the ecumenicalism other than the Vatican with the Vatican Council II that was opened, I think, from 1962 to 65, which was about bringing the world's religions together. So is this about a convergence of the world's events for a world religious system under the guise of nationalism, under the guise of whatever you want to call it, these people want to call it?
Well, I'll say a couple of things. Certainly traditional Catholics would not support that. I know that Vatican II is a different story, but yeah, certainly they would not. I don't know that that's what they are, but I can't speak to that. But in terms of a world religion, I do think he's very aligned with a lot of these Christian nationalists, and they're very much vying for a theocracy, which is Reconstructionism,
which is dominionism.
Exactly.
Which is the Seven Mountain Mandate, the New Apostolic Reformation, the false prophets and apostles.
Yes, which is under the banner, the veneer, exoteric veneer of nationalism, but he's really advocating. And I think even his comment saying that he's not a capitalist, which, yes, the term, it comes from Marx. So I think it could be phrased better. But I think he was being very pointed when he said that. And he said, no, I'm a Christian. So he's advocating for some sort of a Christian rule, which, again, is very aligned with what the Project Russia books are talking about and with what, Dugan advocates. A lot of what he says is very aligned with what Dugan says as well. I mean, even his books, Unhuman, actually has a lot of parallels to both Dugan and Project Russia, which I don't know for a fact, but Dugan seems to be a primary ambassador for this Project Russia. But of course, they would be advocating for it to be under Eastern Orthodox. What they're using, when you read the books, it's very clear that it's not out of a religious kind of a sentiment. I don't think Putin is particularly religious. It's a tool.
Yeah. Well, the Antichrist is going to use the false church and then to come to power and then destroy it, right? Hitler used the church in Germany, right? Yeah. The German Christians dissolved their denominations, right, united under the right bishop, handpicked by Hitler. I mean, that's notorious to use religion. Politicians love to use religious systems.
Of course.
And of course, the question is, are these people baiting people because they know religion appeals to a lot of MAGA people and a lot of Republicans? So are they using religion for authenticity purposes to say, look, I'm valid, I'm legit, I'm religious?
Right.
Why did the Lord perform miracles here on earth? He performed miracles not to attract a show or to put on a magic show. He performed miracles to validate the authenticity of who he was, that he was Messiah, God incarnate, had the power to do these things. Why does Satan and the Antichrist carry out counterfeit miracles, signs, and wonders, particularly the Antichrist and the false prophet? Because they're trying to come and say, look, we're authentic. We are worthy of you to follow because look at the power we have. So what I'm saying is we know that Satan often uses those things to attract credibility, right? That's the whole issue of false prophets, false apostles claiming they can do all these signs and wonders, which most of them we know they can't, but people are led to believe they can. So look what they can do. They never take you to the Word of Faith rallies and show you the wheelchairs lined up in the back with all the disabled people. They never get to the front. They only bring on the people that have headaches and migraines and back pain and stuff you can't verify. And they're, I'm healed. And they're dancing across the stage. Really? Little House on the Prairie, Michael Landon did a whole series on this, a whole show on this, showing this faith healer going around manipulating people. And it was a scam. I remember watching that as a kid. Right. Clearly Michael Landon was sending a message that he didn't tolerate the false teachers and, quote, faith healers of today. Can God heal? Yeah. These men, do they have a gift of healing? No. So the point I'm trying to make is there's a long history of people using religion to try to validate their worthiness and being trustworthy, right?
Sure.
And is that what's going on here?
I think it's part of what's going on, but I think it's also because religion, people are so passionate when it comes to religion. So it's a great
Well, Marx called it the opium of the masses.
Exactly. So it's a great way to get people aligned, to get to divide and conquer. a lot of the infights. I think it's part of. I always describe. I outlined this in the root and the fruit, and partly in the door to the two trap door, but. There's a difference between like Nazi type of anti-Semitism and Russian. There's like a different flavor. And Nazis is it's very much like it's almost pun intended, but religious. It's an ideological, very aligned with the theosophical worldview that we have to
analyze it with AI.
Races,
right?
Alice Bailey, Madame Blavatsky type of theory that somehow traditional Judaism is separate, and that's going to be the thorn in creating this world religion, the perennial religion. So there really was a kind of a belief system, whereas the Russian type is very operational. I mean, we look at I think the Protocols of the Elders of Zion is a great example because it was basically a forgery of a forgery. I mean, it was like based on a French satire, and it was proven to be a forgery. But what you have now...
And yet it's quoted today like it's the real thing.
Yes, but what I call this target laundering. This is what I'm seeing is like this very sophisticated version of the Jewish question. And I do think that it's, again, I can't prove this is speculation, but if we look at patterns, it really has that Russian flavor of active measures. It's very similar to what happened with the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. So you'll have people who will say, oh, yeah, it was a forgery, but look, it's playing out. So it's just that elite hidden hand. It's just, it's the Rothschilds and they're Jewish. So somehow they move, it's this target laundering, but it always ends up being a way to point it at the Jews without saying that, they're anti-Semitic. And so they'll even say that, oh, I'm not at all. I'm anti-Zionist or I'm right? So they always have a way of kind of moving the goalpost, which does seem to be, this is in the Project Russia books, they actually say this. They say, the Jews are the devil's children. And then they say, oh, but the enemy is not the Jews. So they play the exact same game. This is literally a quote from the Project Russia.
It's like someone saying, I hate Christians, but I don't hate God.
Right. Exactly. It's the same thing. Yeah. But you hear this from this is the Pasovics and that whole crew. And I do say crew because they seem to be all kind of, intersecting and working together. They all say the same thing.
Yeah. And by the way, while she was talking, I didn't even know she was going to bring up the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. So literally while she was talking, I went to Worldview Tube, went to the bottom of the page where it's Worldviewpedia, which now been launched. I put in, what is the Protocols of the Elders of Zion? Boom. There's your answer right there, folks. Okay. And then if you want citations, like where did this come from? You'll find it. Okay. This is Worldview Tube. Here we have Trevor Loudon talking with us, Trevor Loudon again with us. So again, this is the power of Worldview 2, because you're saying, I really would like to know what the Protocols of the Elders of Zion is, but can I trust the results that I get? Can I trust the answer that I'm going to get? Well, you can if it comes from us, because it's our own quarantine servers and database, and you can ask it questions and get an answer. All right, and so in closing tonight, the bottom line is, what we're trying to warn about is for people to be very discerning, because there's a lot of deception. Isn't it something the Bible says, be not deceived, be not deceived, be not deceived over and over? And yet there is so much co-opting and deception going on the right and the left.
Yeah, so I wanted to clarify. I had said Stormfront. I mixed two. It's Southfront is where he amplified the 28 tweets from that organization that was an offshoot of IRA. And then the other one is Storm 1516. And that was the one that was pushing that whole scandal with Tim Walz. Mm-hmm. And that was also apparently some sort of Russian disinfo, which was proven.
What were they saying about Tim Walz?
That he was involved in some sort of sexual scandal, and it turned out to be like a complete fabrication, like it was proven to be false. I think I sent that too, that quote. Sorry.
Well, we could do this forever, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you agree. I mean, the reason we're having this conversation tonight isn't simply because we want to sit here and talk about these people. It's to warn people, right? To be what? What's your challenge tonight?
So to me, and I try in everything, I try to be very disciplined about this, because it's not about the people. People also can be deceived. And like, they say
it's about the philosophy.
It's the philosophy. It's the architecture. It's the structure. That's what I want people to recognize. A lot of, what do they say? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. So, a lot of times you have people who mean well and they think they're doing the right thing. But they are being deceived and they are being led down a bad path that is harming all of us as a result. So what I want people to recognize is that a lot of there's an architecture here, and this architecture is very far removed from our constitutional republic. When Posobiec writes a book that's called The Unhumans and says we basically have to eradicate this class of people that the Democrats are now granted he says the violent Democrats, but then J.D. Vance took it and said, oh yeah, we just have to purge all the HR. So he basically just made it anybody we don't agree with is put in this class of unhuman. And I am paraphrasing here, but I want people, it's not again about going after the individuals, it's recognizing what they're doing and how destructive it is to this country, because it's completely antithetical. Our country was founded upon a Declaration of Independence that said we are all created equal and we are endowed with certain unalienable rights. And that does not mean that, if you're part of this particular stratification, or if a certain technocratic infrastructure, a trust infrastructure deems you have permission. That's not what it means. It means that we are all equal, and we are all equal under God and therefore under the law, because of the Constitution is supposed to be a legal political extension of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, and I'm
Dolly
sorry.
agrees.
And I'm sorry for whatever. Well, you should say for whatever reason, but you are very popular with Dolly. Ever since you come in the studio this evening, she has not left you alone other than for a few minutes, and now she's back. I don't know. Do you have dogs?
I don't. I grew up with dogs, and my mom has several dogs.
Well, she isn't as friendly with most people.
No,
only certain people. So you're obviously a very special person, because Dolly thinks you're special. So there you go.
Special.
So it's maybe not really professional broadcasting like your dog accosts people, but she is our studio dog, and people are used to her. I apologize.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So be aware, be discerning, because I think there's a lot of philosophies and ideas that are being brought into various camps, whether it's the evangelical church, the evangelical world, MAGA, the conservative world, the GOP.
Yeah. So
and now it's being dragged into the Democrat Party, which is the DSA.
Yes.
So both sides
are being infiltrated, very much so.
And isn't it interesting? They're both being infiltrated because what I think they really want is conflict.
Yeah, exactly. They want to push people to the extreme, exactly, so that you lose faith altogether.
Of the system. Everything's collapsed. We've tried it. It's over. Now we need to go to a new system. And the new system they have ready to go.
Yes.
Right? That's technocracy.
That is what it is. And if you look at, we were saying that MAGA has many factions, so it's infiltration from within, which is what Yuri Bezmenov talked about. But it is, interestingly enough, this is also what human terrain systems is, right? You infiltrate in certain blocks. Then it's when things are decentralized, it's actually easier to do so. When you have different factions, that's why they like factions, because they're easier to infiltrate and subvert from within. Actually, the Illuminati said this. They said that part of the reason they infiltrated the Freemasonry was because there were so many lodges. It would be easier to subvert because they could infiltrate, in all these smaller groups. But we have so many of these different groups. They all seem to be overlapping. So we have this post-liberal faction, within MAGA. J.D. Vance has openly said, I'm a post-liberal. So, completely antithetical to the Constitution. We have this, I don't know what you'd call it, but it seems to be this. They're kind of in that supersessionist vein, but they're anti-Semitic, but under that banner that, we don't need the Old Testament because, we just need Christ. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I would say that he's the Redeemer, right? He comes to fulfill Genesis.
Prophesied in the Old Testament prophecies, fulfilled in the New Testament.
So what's a Redeemer without something to redeem? So how can you just do away? Yeah.
You can't get, it's 66 books. We're not to add to it or take away from it.
And then you've got the technocrat, the tech bros, who seem to be aligned with these Christian nationalists. But there's this interlap. There are all these different factions, but they're all scratching each other's back, from what I can see.
Yeah. I mean, if we don't have people like you and networks like this, people would be very confused, wouldn't they? And that's what they want. They want you confused because they either want to recruit you,
right,
and co-opt you, or they want to demoralize you so you drop out.
Yes, I see a lot of both. And then I think a lot of people who are confused, they're grasping straws. And so it's very easy to present something. And I think that's what they've done. So people like Pasovic and Christopher Rufo claim to be the Christian conservatives, and they're saying we'll use Leninist and Gramsci tactics to beat the left. And that's not American, and it's not Christian in my opinion either.
Voter fraud. We have to do the same thing they're doing.
Right.
Really? The right needs
we have to be them. We have to be them to beat them.
Right. No.
No.
Her website is, as you see on the screen there, CourtenayTurner.com. CourtenayTurner.com. Yep. And as always, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away. Friends, this is Brandon Howes. For more than a year now, I've been teaching through the book of Revelation, and the response from you has been overwhelming. You've asked me again and again, when are you going to put this study in print? We want to mark it up. We want to share it with our families. Well, it's here. My brand new 2-volume commentary on the book of Revelation, verse by verse, chapter by chapter. This is not a watered down, allegorized, replacement theology approach to Revelation. This is a literal, grammatical, historical study, the way the Lord intended his word to be read. And I connect the prophecy of Revelation to the headlines you're watching unfold right now, the rise of global government and the convergence of end-time events the Lord Jesus warned us about. Folks, we are living in serious days, and there has never been a more important time to understand what God has told us about what is coming. Get your 2-volume Revelation commentary today at worldviewstore.com. That's worldviewstore.com. Joining me now is Michael Weiner. I want to play a clip for you guys from 60 Minutes from a few years ago. Watch this, and you better pay attention, guys, because this impacts a lot of you. Pay attention to this, and then we're going to have Michael Weiner comment. Here we go.
The effects of the current economic crisis have touched everyone. Even if you still have a good job and a paid-up mortgage, chances are your monthly 401k statement will remind you that you've lost a good chunk of your savings. Alan Weir, who turned 60 this month, showed us his latest 401k statement, which he hadn't had the courage to open up.
I'm afraid. You're going to open it now? You want me to? Let's do it.
There's good reason for his trepidation. Nearly half of his life savings have vanished in a matter of months.
It went down again.
How much are you down overall?
About $140,000.
Do you think you'll ever get it back?
I'll probably never see it come back. I was looking to retire probably when I hit 62. I can't do it now. I'll probably be working until I'm at least 70.
Tell me about your 401k.
Does this answer the question?
This is what it was in 2005. 2007, you're down below 2005.
Right. Another one went down almost $40,000. One was
Nice.
88,000, and then it went down to like 50. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Terry considers himself fortunate to have found part-time work greeting the bereaved at a funeral home and making lattes at Starbucks.
There you go.
Where colleagues young enough to be his grandchildren have taken him under their wing.
The 401k drop was tremendous, is tremendous at this point in time, and that's where the savings was.
Do you think you'll ever be able to retire?
I don't see that day. Can no longer see that day.
What kind of a retirement plan allows millions of people to lose 30 to 50% of their life savings just as they near retirement? David Ray, president of the profit-sharing 401k Council of America and a lobbyist for the 401k industry, says it's one that empowers people to make their own investment decisions.
401k is the absolute best way people can save for retirement. They absolutely are the best retirement vehicle we have.
How can you say it's the best available if it has let down tens of millions of people at the time they need the money the most? What are generally the quality of the mutual funds and 401k plans?
Mediocre. I'm going to be real honest with you. With half the funds on the list, really dogs, what people would characterize as dogs, shouldn't be on the list to start with.
There clearly has been a raid on these funds by the people of Wall Street, and it's cost the savers and the future retirees a lot of money that would otherwise be in their account, independent of the financial collapse.
And most of the people that look at their 401ks have no idea that these fees are being taken out.
No. Where would you find it?
There are legal fees, trustee fees, transactional fees, stewardship fees, bookkeeping fees, finder's fees, and the list goes on and on.
You think most people know these fees exist?
I think they know that there are fees. They don't know exactly how large they are.
Why do you think the financial services industry is opposed to fee transparency?
I don't know that they're opposed to it. I think the issue is...
You don't think they're opposed to it?
Well, they want to keep...
You're a lobbyist in Washington, right? You know they're opposed to it.
I think that when a person has hit this point, and we've had this unfortunate situation, I don't think we can misrepresent what the possibilities are.
And the reality is that money is not coming back that they've lost.
They can't count on it.
Wow. Wow. Joining me now is Michael Weiner. Michael, thank you for being with us. What do you make of what you just saw?
Sad. It's very sad. You know, we sit here for years trying to warn people, and then we go up against the financial guys that tell us we're crazy. But at the end of the day, guess what? We don't have people with tears in their eyes when things go crazy. We got smiles on their face when things go crazy. We don't have people that sit back and say they're never going to be able to retire, because gold always goes back. And historically, if you sit on it for a long enough period of time and forget about it, it will always be there for you. That's why the founders made it a foundational basis for our country. What really bothers me is the fact when people go to retire, they tend to sit back and look at how much they're going to sit back and earn off these plans. So the greed factor comes into effect, and then the broker is going to sit back and tell you what the rate of these mutual funds are that they sell you. The problem is when mutual funds lose, they do not recover. The only way you recover is by staying in, and the amount of money that you initially bet on, the amount of money that you initially put in to that mutual fund is significantly less. So in order for you to gain what you lost and more, it's got to even exceed all that. And it gets to a point where we try to talk about balance. I talk about it every day with people, about making sure that we are there to offset what they might lose elsewhere. Because, you know, a client just asked me just minutes ago, what happens if things get worse? I said, well, let's talk about the worst times in our lifetime that we can remember. What are they? And she turned around and said 2008. I said, well, what did gold do in 2008? Your portfolio, these people that you're watching on this show right now, who said this, who are saying this, that woman had put a jerk on my heart when I saw that poor gal sitting there with tears in her eyes, watching her money go away that she never thought would happen, because nobody ever tries to tell you all the bad side. Nobody wants to tell you that. The reality is that one thing that has never gone to zero since before Christ walked the earth is gold.
Now, I want to talk about that, though, in relation to the 401k and your retirement, because that's the issue here. Is
that's exactly what I'm trying to get to, though. And by saying that in a retirement plan, it's of key importance to make sure that you're balanced. And if you have a portfolio that has a 20 to 25% in gold in it, it'll protect your estate factually and historically against this type of dilemma. If your net worth was $1 million in your retirement plan in 2008, and you legitimately lost half of that money, which would be generous compared to some of the people who lost 60 to 65%. And that $750,000 is now worth $375. What did $250 in gold do in 2008? By November of 2011, gold, which initially was slightly under 500, But it had gone up 400%. That 250 in gold, on not on paper, but factually, was worth $1 million. You take the profitability, Brandon, out of your gold and compensate for your losses that you had in your paper assets and your stocks and your mutuals and your bonds and your annuities, whatever it might be. That's how it works. You don't need to sit back and put all of your money in gold, but if you fail to protect your retirement plans, and what we've been talking about consistently on all this show, the new Clarity Act, the new financial system, all these, the debt, what's going on, communists at the gate, all of these things, and you nonchalantly are not paying attention to protecting your retirement plan, you are going to be worse than those people in that TV show. I mark my words, you will be worse. If, in fact, everything was better on paper, why doesn't central banks buy it? They factually, they almost are like retirement plans in the first place. I don't see central banks of countries buying stocks, mutual funds, or bonds. They buy gold for stability. That's the problem with this. And I give that gentleman credit on 60 Minutes. It was a great show, expose, because though that thing, Brandon, that happened in 2008, we haven't learned. These guys are just as greedy. You watch that guy sort of mumble around when he was getting caught on various things he was saying, but we haven't learned. Those guys are just as greedy. None of those people, and I assure you, if they did a 60-minute show on the guys who sold all that stuff, they'd be smiling. They didn't lose a dime. Nothing.
So this, again, is why I want to go to Japan here in a minute, but this is why we're talking about, and again, I don't give financial advice, I give financial opinion, but this is why we're talking about people, particularly if they're in their 60s and 70s, being very careful because they don't have time to wait for the market to come back up. They don't have 20 years or 10 years, some of them. This will be a big problem for a lot of them. And so you're talking about the ability, thanks to President Reagan, putting gold into your IRA, where you have a physical metal gold with serial numbers. It goes to a vault in Delaware, depository, and it sits there, physically there. You can go see it, I guess, if you want to. And then if you want to take custody of it, you can pay the taxes and take physical custody, correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
And if you want to if you want to sell a portion of it, you could sell a portion of it and get a check, right?
Exactly. And we have people who have done so well with our worldview people with their retirement and planning and how they melded this into their program and what they were doing. If they were smart like you, Brandon, and other people who put in into products that are stable like land or rents and things of that nature, they literally set up a withdrawal out of their account. I've got one client now. I said, the way your account is right now, you can draw out $10,000 a month for the next 30 years, and it won't affect you because they had a big account, but I also bought in it. We bought it the roller coaster ride, the ups and downs of the market. Who cares? Over a long term, it's going to come back. But for any of you out there to relate to these people, can you relate to that man or relate to that guy who was working at Starbucks, or if you had a friend that was working at Walgreens? You work your whole life, you put 25 years in a company, you're planning, I'm going to retire at 62, and then bam, you can't. And if you don't think it can happen to you, goodness gracious, you're wrong. It has happened to that. Do those look like strange wheeling dealing people?
No.
Do they look like
they played by the rules. They were sold a good, a service, buyer beware. I think we learned buyer beware on one of the episodes of the Brady Bunch when we were kids, right? Greg Brady bought a clunker of a car, and Michael Brady, the father, told him, buyer beware. You just got taken. Right. So even as kids, if we watched the Brady Bunch in the 70s, understood buyer beware. Well, these people should have been aware of what they're buying, which is why when I was 20 years old and I had a guy pushing a 401k on me as a financial planner at 20 years, maybe 20, 21, I said, no, not interested. Because I said, I don't trust the system. And I don't know that the Congress will eventually take my 401k, give me a paper IOU the way they've done with Social Security. I'm not interested. Boy, you should have seen the look on his face. I mean, I was a pretty young kid, but I was reading enough to know then I am not interested. I would rather pay taxes on what I make now, take my money and go buy what I want to buy, invest in my business, do whatever it is I want to do and buy so that I'm in control of what I have, not some company, and not be at the whim of the gambling of the market. Now, if a lot of people made money in the market, they absolutely have. But my concern is a lot of the older people in our audience, they don't have time to play this Russian roulette or this, dropping it down onto a, what's the game in Las Vegas where you drop a ball onto a...
Roulette. That's roulette.
Okay, I don't have time for that. And they don't either, right?
Here's what they do, and I just had a worldview person I talked to an hour ago, whose brother, who's a broker, which I don't do business with family, thankfully. I learned that, or friends. I don't do that because it's a one-way ticket to problems. But what's really important is here's what he said, and this is how they do it. She said, we don't want to own gold. You can own bonds and this other stuff, and it pays you this. So they appeal to your greed. That's how they do it. They throw that out there. You don't want to own gold because it doesn't pay you. These pay you this. Well, the old story, you give it and you take it away.
Yep.
So there you go.
Or as Mark Twain said, I'm not as concerned about the return on my money as I am the return of my money. So good luck getting it back when they lock it down. Capital controls, you can't reach them. They don't call you back. Or they tell you we don't think it's in your best interest. Or the institution, I'm not talking about bonds, but the institution goes belly up and thanks to the Depository Trust Corporation, you don't really own it at the end of the day.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go to the topic of Japan. All right, let's take a look at this. Here is a clip of President Trump talking about Japan, because apparently we're jumping in to help Japan now, as if we don't have our own problems.
Because we have a good relationship with Japan. We're very strong, very, very strong financially. And they are, they have a weakening yen, and they wanted a little bit of help. And we're always there for Japan. Japan's been very good to us, with the exception, of course, of Pearl Harbor.
Mr. President,
they were not good.
What is the U.S. getting?
Well, there you go. For the exception of Pearl Harbor, they've been good to us. And apparently, Besant is saying we will not hesitate to participate in further joint intervention. We strongly support Japan's decisive market and monetary steps to correct the substantial undervaluation of the yen. And he goes on from there.
If you know something about the historics of Japan and what happened, the people who really did this to Japan, and I'm glad you brought it up because I have going back to the formation of what created the mess for Japan was what we did to them in the 1980s. I don't know if people remember, Japan was over here, their economy was doing great, and they were over here buying up everything. And we were like sticking them with some of the biggest dogs you could ever sell them and making them overpay for it. And in New York, they bought the GM building for $1.1 billion.
I remember all that. Yeah, they were over here buying huge buildings. I remember that.
Bought it back for 50 cents on the dollar. We, my partners and I, my old company, were involved with a bank in California called Tokai Bank. We sold them the bank building for a ridiculous amount of money, and they ended up losing it. Everybody was sticking it to Japan, land everywhere. They just literally buried them. And Japan was just like this happy-go-lucky guy with a wallet. And then in the 90s, everything started sliding. This is when it went the other way. And they just never, ever got back on their feet from that total disaster that we really stuck it to them on. And the problem, the reason why the U.S. is coming to the aid of Japan is we've talked before, who owns a lot of the debt? We did it on a show about a week or two back of the United States government, Japan. So what are they going to use to help strengthen their money? Our debt, we owe them. So we're going to pay one way or the other, and Trump probably figures, as well as Besant, it makes more sense just to stick it to them some more. It's like they are legitimately, I don't know if some people there are brain dead or whatever, but they just seem to be Uncle Harry sticking it to them all the time, and they go along with it. But what's interesting is that they stood up recently and said, we're not buying your debt anymore. So I think that's going to be quite interesting to see how it all plays itself out. But the culprit in this whole dilemma in Japan is the United States government. The United States government and everybody here put it to the Japanese people. They overbought. They were irresponsible on what they were buying. They were like a bull in a china shop.
Well, right now I'm reading that the country's debt, Japan's debt to GDP, gross domestic product, is 230%. And of course, now the yen has fallen about 11%, near close to 11%. So we're going to rush in and help them. Well, who's going to rush in and help us as our dollar collapses and becomes worth less and less, which today has, I think, underneath, below the purchasing power of 3 cents since the Fed came around in 1913. And now the dollar has the purchasing power of like 2.97 pennies. Under 3%, under 3 cents. So who's going to do that for us? And how long is it before one of these countries has a massive liquidity problem, and that's the domino that knocks down all the other dominoes? And now we have the issue of the cross contamination with derivatives and all this other garbage that ends up bringing down the whole house. Who is going to eventually be that domino, and what will be that domino, Michael? Do you think?
I think right now what they're doing right now to offset it and what we've talked about is this whole new financial system. The domino is already there. The domino is our debt. It's at 40 trillion and it's coming to a head September 30th, which is not that far away.
Which is when they have to renew that's when they have to
renew all this money, and nobody wants the debt. So who's going to be it? We are actually the suckers at the end of it all, because they're
going to have to print the money to buy our own debt.
And they're going to print the digital. They're going to manufacture a financial system, restructure it. They'll call it duck a dog. You'll have 10 different varieties of money. And reality is that at the end of the day, you will have less assets, less money, less spending power, but they will make the debt sort of change based on a digital world. And the people that are going to pay is us, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. The biggest thing you can do to stop it is literally understand the fact that owning something to offset it will protect you, because you can't stop it. They have the same law that protects you, for example, for numismatic. The Roosevelt law is what empowers Congress to make changes with currencies, because that's what Roosevelt did. And every president since then have used it, and Trump's going to use it now. So reality is the only thing you can do is take sure of what you have and make sure that you have an adequate balance in your portfolio, because it's coming to us. There's no way around it. And the people in Japan and what has happened in Japan is us. We did it to them. So they're just literally coming to us because they're probably going like, God, I got all this debt of yours and I've done everything you told me to do. Well, can't you help me? And of course they're going to help them, because we'll stick it to them again sometime. It's a depository, almost like the American people. We sit there all the time and look at this. I mean, right now, when we look at what's on the table at this country, we got elections where we don't know if Donald Duck or Daffy Duck's going to get elected. We got people in Congress who can't even pass a ridiculous bill to protect the sovereignty of our nation's election system. We can't even sit back and keep communists off television and Muslim clerics out for telling us that they hate America openly and teaching this to our children. If you don't think in this type of a world, when we have a woman who used to be a waitress possibly being the president of the United States, and another gal who's a waitress being the governor of Wisconsin, which scares the daylights out of me, that they're a communist, and people laugh about it.
Oh, you're talking about Hong?
Yeah, Hong.
Hong, who is so Wong? That's her campaign slogan. Right?
We laugh about it, but she's could be possibly the governor.
You're right.
They got a gal as the mayor of Seattle who was living at home with her parents.
I know, right?
no money, and she's the mayor of a city. We got an idiot, smiley face, who looks like the Joker. Somebody plastered a smile on his face, sitting in New York, who legitimately is destroying the city and is possibly going to be at the 25th anniversary of 9/11 when him and his wife think we deserve to have that happen, when him and his wife play checkers with the guy who was a World Trade Center bomber, and the New York people have the audacity to put that garbage on the stage up there. Congratulations. If you don't think you need to do something in this type of a world to properly rethink, you will be a victim. Other people will not. Promise you that. You will be a victim.
I think what you were talking about was Mondani smiling arm in arm with the unindicted 1993 World Trade Center bomber co-conspirator, which would be Siraj Wahaj. I think that's what you're referring to.
Yep, correct. And the same thing.
I don't think they were really playing checkers for those who thought he was being serious.
There's a happy couples. What a great group of guys.
And that Siraj Wahaj was at the mosque right down the street from our studio a few years ago.
All right. All right. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yep.
So,
all right, Michael, people better check into this. I don't give financial advice. I give financial opinion. But my opinion is you better get your homework done. Find out about numismatic, 1933 and older, that comes with privacy. And also find out about how to put gold into your IRA. Nobody's saying do 40, 50%. That's up to you and Michael and your family and your spouse or whatever. I don't give financial advice. I give financial opinion. My opinion is you better pay attention and learn from other people's mistakes. You know, a lot of people, we learn from other people's mistakes and we learn from their success. And we say, wow, look what they did. That's really a great idea. I think I can do it better. I think I can develop a better mousetrap. Well, again, you learn from people's success, but you should also learn from their mistakes and failures. And sometimes we still have great compassion for people that have suffered because they were trusting that someone was looking out for their good, and it turned out maybe they weren't. And so again, don't be left, because when it happens, and it's inevitable, in my opinion, the day of reckoning is coming, you are not going to have anybody sitting there willing to write you a check to make up the 6 figures plus you've lost in your retirement. It's your money. Protect it. Get educated. Do your own homework, your own due diligence. Starts with the free packet of information. We've been working with Swiss America for 18 years. You guys are a debt-free company. You've been around since what, 1982, 83? What was it?
82. It's 44 years.
Wow. There you go. 1-877-864-1072. And by the way, I guess I hear you guys are staying on top of it, but I hear you have a lot of people calling from our audience to do IRAs. Is that right?
Yeah, we're real busy with that. And I want to say this in closing. We're not here to make you feel bad. We don't want to rub anything into you. We want to help you. That's the reality of it. Worldview Weekend offers you assistance in so many areas, from legitimately helping you with food situations to lifestyle situations, and then supplying news that always comes out to be true. Our goal here is not to say, okay, the world's coming to an end. Our goal is to sit back and help you to forsake having to have this problem. We want to help you. And, you know, I'm not going to sit back and tell you that we're not having a problem. I'm telling you we do, but we can solve it by properly balancing your estate. If you have the time and want to listen, we can help.
Education, education, education.
Correct.
If you want someone to sell you and have someone sell you, good luck with that. But if you want someone to educate you, that's where you want to be. Get educated and then make the right decision for you. And that's what we love about Swiss America. I've been working with them for 18 years. The reason we have so many happy people over the years, including them showing up at our Worldview Weekend, and when he shows up at our Worldview Weekend, people don't come up there yelling at him, because they're mad at him. They come up there and say, hey, Michael, how you doing? Great to see you. Why are these people so happy to see him? Because they've been treated fairly and justly and been treated with information and news and education that they then chose to act on. And many of them are just as happy as clams, which is why they're happy to see you. But if you had something to hide, I don't think you'd be showing your face at our national conference, would you, Michael?
No, I wouldn't.
And
but
yet,
I don't. I would never. I look forward to seeing everybody. I love
and
to
our
see
people
all.
look forward to seeing you because you again have offered a service. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. We've been working with them a long time. We have a lot of happy people. So, and you'll be able to see him and visit with him in person at the upcoming Ozarks in Milwaukee this year. I know. That's a habit I have to break. At the national conference in Milwaukee in Waukesha this fall. He'll be there, right, Michael?
Yes, I will.
All right. 1-877-864-1072, 1-877-864-1072, or just go to worldviewgold.com, fill out the form. Someone said the other day the form wasn't working. Well, then try a different browser. You're probably using Safari. Go to Google Chrome, and it'll likely work. Sometimes I find things don't work on Safari. I go over to Google Chrome, and they work. So there you go. Or try rebooting your computer. But the form is working. worldviewgold.com. Thank you, Michael.
Good night, Dolly. I'll look forward to seeing you.
Oh, you're going to see her. You're going to see her in October. Get some pictures.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Good night.
Welcome to the Worldview Tube Vault, built on 35 years of research, broadcasts, and films by Brannon House and his team. Sabotage, all 6 hours, exposing how Marxists, Islamists, and their useful idiots are working to destroy America from within. Siege, 5 gripping parts on the clear and present dangers pushing America to the brink. Brainwashed America, Parts 1 and 2, with Part 3 coming soon, revealing 12 documented tactics used to capture the minds of Americans. Plus, Reagan Under Fire, the 1981 assassination attempt, the history of Arlington House and General Robert E. Lee, and many more being added all the time. And getting there is simple. Once you're logged in, just click Vault, go to Vault Library, and select Docu-Movies. That's it. Hours of eye-opening content ready to stream anytime, anywhere. Join Worldview Tube Vault today at worldviewtube.com/vault.
Join me now is Dr. Lana. I want you guys to watch a clip. Very interesting, and then I want her to comment. Watch this, please.
Did you know that USA chicken has been banned in the EU since 1997? Why would they do that? It's because of this. See where it says up to 6% retained water or up to 7% retained water? That means after these chickens are slaughtered, they're dunked in a chlorinated chemical bath to cool them down and to disinfect them. And the EU considers this a sign of poor hygiene behavior in the supply chain. And to make matters even worse, if 7% of this is retained water in my chicken, what am I paying for? Water weight. So how do we avoid the chlorinated water bath and the water weight? Look to buy air-chilled chicken, which sadly this grocery store has none of. That means after slaughter, the chickens are hung in a huge walk-in refrigerator and skip the chemical bath. Keep in mind, there are purveyors that do water chill only using ice water, but you're still paying for water weight. If you want a deep dive on all things chicken, I posted a reel the other day that really tells you the difference between conventional meat chicken and high-quality Bobby-approved chicken. You might want to watch it.
All right, Dr. Lana joins us now. Dr. Lana, are you aware of that? Is that true what this guy's putting out here?
Oh, absolutely. We've talked about this for years and years in continuing education classes, school with my patients, and it's twofold because not only are they dousing these chickens in chemicals and then we're consuming them, they also have, talking about chickens, they use down chickens and down cows as well in our school lunch program for our American children, which is very upsetting. And then the other thing you're doing when you're talking about chickens is besides all these chemicals, when you eat chicken anyway, you're consuming that animal's hormone cascade. And we're trying to balance our own hormones as men and women as we age. So this is true. And you really have to educate yourself. And I in my practice, which is based on gold standard science, you all know this, it is plant-centric or plant-forward, plant-based, if you will. You don't have to be a vegan. There's no science that says you have to be a vegan, but better outcomes, a flatter belly, more energy, leaner muscles, a clean, clear brain is from more plants and less animals. And this chemical-filled chicken is just one example of that. Yes, true.
So I also am a little suspicious. I know it's convenient. I know it actually tastes good. And I'm referring to the rotisserie chicken in the plastic bag sitting under the heat light at most of your grocery stores. And I have to tell you, that is really good rotisserie chicken. And the ease of it, the convenience of it. And many families grab that up as they go through the grocery checkout at 5:30 at night and run home with it. But Melissa and I started talking about that. How good is it to eat this chicken, particularly when we know what we just heard from that gentleman? And then you add the fact that it's sitting in a plastic bag with a heat light on it. I mean, what are the health consequences for that alone with the plastic and the heat light?
Oh, you hit the nail on the head. So now you have the chemical filled chicken, and now you have the hormones in the chicken, and now you've got endotoxins. You've got microplastics, going into your body as well. And I know no one wants to hear that, but we speak the truth here. That is a no-go for dinner. I had a patient, really quick time. I had a patient, and their mom was getting them. They were actually a teenage male at the time, and they were having all kind of autoimmune issues. And the mom, innocently, busy working mom, God love her, he loved those rotisserie chickens, and she was just, the majority of the week she was bringing those home. And he started to have autoimmune issues because you're bringing in all those microplastics plus the hormones of the chicken plus the chemicals in the chicken. So what do you do? Because you're probably thinking, gosh, I love chicken. And it's not that you need to be a vegan. So you could do a couple of things. You always want to look for organic meat, air-chilled organic meat. And honestly, you can look around in your local areas, and there are farmers, not everywhere in the United States, but you may be near a farm that you can share, getting chickens or share part of a cow, with some neighbors, things like that. It's a possibility. I would look into it. The other thing is look into organic meat, organic chicken that is air chilled. Go ask the butcher and go into specialty grocery stores. This is one of those things where you really get what you pay for. So go into some of the specialty grocery stores, ask around. If you're going to eat meat, my word, you want to eat things that are going to promote good health, not tear down your health. And for Pete's sake, put toxins in your body.
Let's go to this article. EPA approves more forever chemical pesticides for food crops. July 2nd, 2026 article, The New American, and it's all over the place. They're not the only ones reporting it. The Environmental Protection Agency has found another curious way to make America healthy again. The Health and Human Services Secretary is transversing the country in a midterm push and urging Americans to eat real food. The EPA keeps adding more harmful pesticides for use on major food crops. This week, the agency, whose stated purpose is to protect human health and the environment, approved a batch of pesticide actions affecting corn, soybeans, wheat, oats, apples, and almonds and oranges, coffee, kiwi, peas, kale, and broccoli. Among them are 3 pesticides known as PFAS or forever chemicals. The approvals include, I don't know if I can say those names. You want to try it? You want to do a stab at it? Diflunicin and eprifenincial. I don't know. You want to try it? And then the third one?
Oh, I'm gonna leave that to you because I can't even see the small print there.
So I'm glad I'm not the only one. Phonics isn't working too good on these.
Oh my gosh.
What is it? Diff. That's DIF. Diflunicin. Dilflufincion. I don't know. I'm trying phonics on it. You want to try it, Logan?
I can't even
Give it a shot, Logan.
See the give it a shot, Logan, because I can't see the fine print.
Diflufenicin.
How about the second one?
There you go.
Epiphenicil.
There you go. That's pretty good.
Epiphenicil.
Epiphenicil. Yeah. Okay. Who wants to try that last one there? Try flutomoxicin.
Yeah, flutomoxicin.
Yeah. Wow.
Terrifying.
I wonder if they make the name so difficult so that we don't know them. They don't readily flow off our tongues, so we don't warn everybody. Hey, guys, you know what the FDA did? They just approved, I can't say the words, but they just approved something. You know, if they gave it, hey, you know what? They just approved X1, XX2, XX3. I mean, it's horrible stuff. I mean, at least you could say the names, give it a sub. But no, they come up with these huge names, and I think part of that's just so you go, oh, forget it, whatever.
Terrifying. You're absolutely right. And they say even the food labels, if you can't pronounce it, you know, put it back on the shelf and go grab something that you could pronounce and make sure that the less ingredients, the better. We all know that. Listen, this is going to sound not to all your audience, because your audience is so savvy. So it's not going to sound out there, you know, off the rails. This is extremely important, and this will be very helpful for all of you. And Brandon and I say this all the time. We do not plan what we are going to say. We're here to educate you, guide you, love you, support you, and you all need to take, and you're doing this for your families. Everything that Brandon just stated, absolutely true. And it's like the good fighting the evil, the angels fighting the devil. And the good news for us, you know, God always wins. But there is a battle, because you're right. RFK Jr. is trying to do all these good things for American families to keep us healthy. No one wants to be sick. No one wants to be a patient. No one wants to have gut issues, heart attacks, dementia, Alzheimer's, all these horrible things. Children are getting diseases too. So what do? You can start replacing meals with simple things like, because they are spraying this everywhere. You're absolutely right.
Look at it. It's causing
this
cancer.
Goes back
Carries
to
warning signals.
Yes.
Cancer.
Yes. Goes back to, and we'll start doing this. I'm going to actually talk to Melissa. We'll start putting together some tasty. We're going to play around in the kitchen. I'm going to call her, because she's going to say, okay, what are we doing? It's easy, it's quick, it's fun, it's delicious. So I'm going to give you all some great ideas, because you've got to start doing things that the government doesn't have their hand in. And so this is why we talk about the Gatatana, because it's God's food, and it is grown in a beautiful, beautiful, pristine environment with real seawater off the coast of Spain, goes through a pharmaceutical grade, not pharmaceuticals, but a pharmaceutical grade, almost like a military grade filtration system, completely pure, nothing is added. It's God's food. Take 1 to 2 scoops a day, your whole family. And then this is pure amino acids. These ingredients from Purium go through 3 to 5 levels of molecular scanning, no contaminants, no toxins, no PFASs, no PFASs here. So now you've got essential fatty acids and proteins and nutrients, vitamins and minerals, and you have that magical highway that produces butyrate in your system with the Gatatana, because this is a natural prebiotic. And when you produce butyrate, you protect your lining of your gut. So all the toxins and the contaminants and the undigested food doesn't go into your bloodstream and cause issues in your brain, and you don't have brain fog and all those neurological diseases or autoimmune diseases. So this protects your gut. It also helps your T killer cells, and it helps produce GLP-1. And these two together help produce GLP-1. I didn't say they were a weight loss combo, but they help reduce your appetite. They help make you feel full because they're fueling your body. So here you're getting the pre-digested protein that's super pure. You don't have to worry about the forever chemicals here. And then you're getting God's nutrition. You don't have to worry about the forever chemicals here. And then there's a couple there's a couple things that you can do, and we can talk about that as the weeks go on, some things that you can make in your house, like for a quick breakfast or a quick lunch even. And what I do too is I get a lot of, and I know they're sprayed everywhere, but I do get organic when I can, organic vegetables, organic fruits, things like that. And you can freeze them and get organic seeds. You can grow a garden in your backyard. I mean, we grow some things in our backyard. You have to get organic seeds and organic soil and, do that garden above ground. So you're in control of the soil that goes in there. But Melissa and I are going to work together and come up with some just quick, easy breakfast and snacks that don't have all those forever chemicals in them.
All right. And if they want to right now, Melissa and I do that every day. We both do the protein tablets, and we do the Gatatana, and Dolly gets half a scoop of Gatatana. And right now, up until August 11th, there's a sale going. Tell us about that, please.
Absolutely. David Hunter is offering 1 jar for all of you. You can go on melissahousegpa.com. 1 jar, one time, 30% off. He's never, ever done it. And get started so you can get this nutrition in your cells, start making GLP-1, start protecting your gut lining, protecting your brain, and also helps with blood sugar. And it is because it's getting pure nutrition in your cells. 30% off the first jar. And then 70% of the people never stop taking it. I don't want to ever be without it. People start to panic when they run out. And these two together are a 1-2 punch, but this is 30% off until August 11th at midnight. And I think I'm going to talk to him. I think we can get David Hunter on here next Tuesday to share some jaw-dropping stories. I mean, from blood sugar and, Tom Harper's story of cancer. It's not a health claim. It's just what happens to the body. It starts to heal when you get pure nutrition inside the cells and when you protect your gut. 30% off till August 11th at melissahousegpa.com.
All right, Dr. Lana. You'll also find all of that at worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Thank you, Dr. Lana. Her website is inspiredbywellness.com, right?
Yes.
There it is, inspiredbywellness.com. Thank you, Dr. Lana.
God bless everyone.
All right, guys, that's our broadcast for tonight. As always, thank you for tuning in and supporting the broadcast. Hey, don't forget, we made the big announcement tonight. Worldviewpedia is now live. Worldviewpedia is now live. You just go to WorldviewTube, and then go to the bottom of the page on the bottom right-hand corner. You don't have to scroll or anything. It'll just be there.
Always there, yeah.
It's always there. So if you are not a member, you get to ask like 3 questions a month. But otherwise, if you're a member at worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, ask away. Worldviewpedia, the world's premier biblical worldview Bible software, Bible commentary, Bible prophecy commentary, now online. Big news. Roll the music. What's that, Logan? Oh, click on it. Oh, yeah. It just pops right up and you ask it a question. There you go. We showed this earlier in the show, but there you go. Boom. It's going to answer that. What is secular humanism? And it's searching our 36-year library right now. It's a worldview belief system that denies the existence of God, the soul, and any spiritual realm. Look at that. And then again, as I showed you at the beginning of the show, there are all your citations, right? And you can go listen to full shows where we're talking about those things. That's amazing. Amazing. Over $100,000 the last 12 months to develop this. Now it's live right at the bottom of the page. May God save America. Take care. Tonight on the Worldview Report, the IRGC conducts an overnight drone